Millionaire took his nanny to a ball, not knowing her locket held a royal secret. Hello, viewer. Thanks for joining us. Leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments, along with the city you're watching from. Now let's continue with the story. Lincoln Wells believed he had mastered the delicate balance between building a technology empire and raising his 6-year-old son alone. Then Anna Smith walked into his life as a professional nanny, and everything changed. She possessed an elegance that whispered of hidden depths, an intelligence that challenged his assumptions, and a connection with his son that felt like answered prayers. But when Anna wore a vintage medallion to the most important business gala of the year, one man's recognition would shatter everything they thought they knew about family, rivalry, and love. Sometimes the greatest discoveries come disguised as the most ordinary moments. Sometimes the heart finds its home in the most unexpected places, and sometimes what looks like coincidence is actually destiny finally revealing its perfect plan. The morning sun filtered through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Lincoln Wells's corner office, casting geometric patterns across the mahogany desk where his life seemed to be scattered in organized chaos. Client reports stood in neat stacks beside crayon drawings that depicted stick figures holding hands under rainbow skies. A framed photograph of a gap-toothed boy with twinkling hazel eyes anchored one corner, while his laptop displayed quarterly projections that would determine the future of Wells Corporation. "Daddy, you forgot to sign my permission slip again." Lincoln glanced up to find Devin Wells standing in the doorway, his small shoulders carrying a backpack that seemed designed for someone twice his size. The boy's expression held that particular mixture of patience and exasperation that 6-year-olds reserved for forgetful parents. "The field trip to the Science Museum," Lincoln said, understanding flooding his features. "Buddy, I am so sorry. Come here." Devin approached the desk with the careful steps of a child who had learned that grown-up workspaces required reverence. Lincoln reached for the crumpled paper emerging from the backpack and smoothed it against his desk blotter, noting the deadline that had passed 2 days ago. "Mr. Wells?" His assistant's voice carried through the intercom with the tone reserved for delicate situations. "The representatives from Meridian Family Care Services are here for your 9 o'clock appointment." Lincoln's pen paused above the permission slip. For 3 weeks, he had been interviewing candidates to help manage Devin's care during the increasingly demanding hours that came with running a sustainable technology company. The previous babysitters had been perfectly competent, but something had been missing. A connection, perhaps. Or maybe the understanding that raising a child meant nurturing not just physical needs, but the infinite curiosity that made Devin ask 17 questions before breakfast each morning. "Send them in, please." Lincoln signed the permission slip with a flourish that made Devin giggle. "There, crisis averted. Now, what do you say we meet the person who might be spending afternoons with you while Daddy works on making solar panels even more efficient? Do you think she will like dinosaurs?" Devin asked, settling into the leather chair across from his father's desk with the gravity of someone conducting his own interview. "I certainly hope so," Lincoln replied, straightening his tie and wondering why his hands felt unsteady. "Because if she is going to be part of our family routine, she needs to understand that dinosaurs are very serious business around here." The office door opened, and Lincoln's first thought was that his assistant had made some sort of mistake. The woman who entered moved with a grace that seemed inconsistent with his mental image of professional childcare providers. She wore a navy blazer over cream-colored linen and carried herself with the quiet confidence of someone comfortable in both boardrooms and playgrounds. Her auburn hair was pulled back in a way that suggested practicality without sacrificing elegance, and when she smiled at Devin, something in Lincoln's chest tightened unexpectedly. "Mr. Wells," she said, extending her hand with a firm grip that conveyed both professionalism and warmth. "I am Anna Smith. Thank you for considering me for this position." Her voice carried a musical quality that made even formal introductions sound somehow personal. Lincoln found himself studying her face, noting the intelligence in her green eyes and the genuine interest with which she regarded his son. "Miss Smith," he replied, gesturing toward the chairs arranged in his office's seating area. "Please make yourself comfortable. This is Devin, who I believe will be the real judge of whether this arrangement works for our family." Anna knelt to bring herself to Devin's eye level, a gesture Lincoln had seen countless caregivers attempt with varying degrees of success. But something about her approach felt different, natural, uncontrived. "Hello, Devin," she said seriously. "I have heard you are an expert on dinosaurs. I must confess that I am still learning about them. Do you think you might be willing to teach me?" Devin's eyes widened with the delight of a child who had just discovered someone willing to treat his passions with respect. "Do you know about velociraptors? They were actually much smaller than in the movies, and they had feathers." "Feathers?" Anna's surprise seemed genuine rather than performed. "That changes everything I thought I knew about them. What else should I understand about dinosaurs if I am going to spend time with an expert like you?" Lincoln watched this exchange with growing amazement. In less than 2 minutes, Anna had managed to engage his son in a way that felt both educational and deeply respectful. She listened to Devin's explanations about Cretaceous period climate changes with the attention most adults reserved for stock market reports. "Miss Smith," Lincoln interjected gently, "perhaps we should discuss your background and experience." She settled into the chair across from his desk, maintaining the perfect balance between professional composure and approachable warmth. "Of course. I have a bachelor's degree in child development from the University of Oregon, and I am currently pursuing my master's in child psychology. I have spent the past 5 years working with executive families, providing specialized care that addresses both practical needs and developmental enrichment." "Why do you choose to work with executive families specifically?" Lincoln asked, genuinely curious about her motivations. Anna considered the question carefully, her expression thoughtful. "I believe that children of highly successful parents face unique challenges. They often have access to extraordinary opportunities, but they also navigate complex family dynamics and high expectations. I find fulfillment in helping these children develop strong emotional foundations while celebrating their individual gifts." Something in her answer resonated deeply with Lincoln's own concerns about raising Devin in the shadow of professional demands. "What do you see as the most important aspect of childcare?" "Creating an environment where children feel safe to be authentically themselves," Anna replied without hesitation. "Academic achievement and proper behavior matter, but not at the expense of curiosity, creativity, and emotional expression. I believe children thrive when they know they are valued for who they are, not just what they accomplish." Devin had been listening to this adult conversation with the careful attention of someone trying to decode important information. "Miss Anna," he said suddenly, "do you think it is okay to be sad sometimes, even when you have good things?" The question hung in the air with the weight of a child's attempt to understand complex emotions. Lincoln felt his heart constrict, recognizing his son's ongoing process of adjusting to his parents' divorce 2 years earlier. Anna's expression softened with the kind of understanding that could not be taught in textbooks. "I think it is not only okay to be sad sometimes, but it is also very brave to admit when you feel that way. Sadness helps us appreciate happiness, and it shows us what matters most to our hearts." "That is what Daddy says too," Devin replied, shooting a quick glance at his father. "He says feelings are like weather, and even sunny days need some clouds." "Your daddy sounds very wise," Anna said, and Lincoln caught something in her tone that suggested she meant it as more than polite conversation. "Miss Smith," Lincoln said, feeling a certainty that surprised him with its strength, "I believe you would be an excellent addition to our family routine. The position offers competitive compensation, flexible scheduling around your graduate studies, and the opportunity to work with a child whose favorite topics range from renewable energy to whether dragons might have been based on real dinosaurs." Anna's smile transformed her entire face, revealing a joy that seemed to illuminate the entire office. "Mr. Wells, I would be honored to work with you and Devin. When would you like me to begin?" "Is tomorrow too soon?" Lincoln asked, already knowing that the answer mattered more than he had expected. "Tomorrow is perfect," Anna replied, and something in the way she said it made Lincoln believe that perhaps it truly would be. Devin jumped up from his chair with the unbridled enthusiasm of a child whose world had just expanded in exactly the right direction. "Miss Anna, tomorrow I will show you my collection of dinosaur books and my rock collection and the solar panel Daddy brought home from work." "I cannot wait to see all of those treasures," Anna said, and Lincoln realized that she was the kind of person who would find genuine interest in a 6-year-old's carefully curated pile of sidewalk stones. As Anna gathered her purse and prepared to leave, Lincoln found himself hoping that tomorrow would arrive quickly. For the first time in months, the challenge of balancing fatherhood and building a business felt less like an impossible juggling act and more like a puzzle whose missing piece had finally been found. "Miss Smith," he called as she reached the door. "Thank you. I have a feeling this is going to work out very well for all of us." She turned back with that radiant smile, and Lincoln caught himself wondering about the stories behind those intelligent green eyes. "I have the same feeling, Mr. Wells. Until tomorrow." After she left, Devin climbed into his father's lap with the comfortable familiarity of their shared morning routine. "Daddy, I like her. She listens like she really wants to know what I am thinking." Lincoln hugged his son close, breathing in the scent of strawberry shampoo and childhood innocence. "I like her too, buddy. I think Miss Anna is going to fit into our family just perfectly." As father and son returned to the business of signing permission slips and discussing quarterly reports that somehow seemed less daunting than they had an hour earlier, Lincoln could not shake the feeling that his life had just shifted in a direction he had not expected, but desperately needed. The next morning arrived with the kind of September sunshine that made promises about perfect new beginnings. Lincoln found himself checking his reflection in the hallway mirror for the 3rd time, which struck him as ridiculous behavior for a man about to welcome his son's new caregiver. Professional boundaries, he reminded himself. This was a business arrangement designed to benefit Devin's development and his own productivity. The doorbell rang at precisely 8 o'clock, and Lincoln appreciated Anna's punctuality almost as much as he appreciated the way she had dressed for her first day. Her clothing struck the perfect balance between approachable and professional, and she carried a leather messenger bag that suggested organization without ostentation. "Good morning, Mr. Wells," she said, stepping into the foyer of the colonial-style home that Lincoln had chosen specifically for its combination of elegance and family practicality. "I hope I am not too early." "Perfect timing," Lincoln replied, noting how the morning light streaming through the front windows seemed to catch the auburn highlights in her hair. "Devin has been awake since 6:30, planning your orientation schedule." As if summoned by the mention of his name, Devin appeared at the top of the staircase wearing his favorite dinosaur pajamas and an expression of barely contained excitement. "Miss Anna, I have been waiting forever." "Well, not actually forever, but since I woke up, which feels like forever when you are excited about something." Anna laughed, and the sound filled the house with warmth that Lincoln had not realized had been missing. "Good morning, Devin. I am excited too. Should I change into dinosaur pajamas so we match? You do not have to, Devin said seriously, but you should know that these pajamas have accurate depictions of Triceratops. Most pajamas get the horns wrong. Educational pajamas, Anna mused, following Devin down the stairs. I am impressed by your commitment to scientific accuracy, even in sleepwear. Lincoln watched this exchange while pouring coffee into his travel mug, marveling at Anna's ability to engage with his son's unique blend of childhood enthusiasm and precocious intelligence. Most adults either talked down to Devin or seemed overwhelmed by his rapid-fire questions and observations. Miss Anna, Lincoln said, can I offer you coffee? I have about 20 minutes before I need to leave for the office, which should give us time to review Devin's routine and emergency procedures. Coffee would be wonderful. Thank you. Anna settled at the kitchen island, accepting the mug Lincoln offered with a smile that made the simple gesture feel somehow intimate. I brought some materials I thought Devin might enjoy. Educational games, art supplies, and a few books about renewable energy that I found at the university library. You researched renewable energy? Lincoln asked, genuinely surprised. I wanted to understand your work so I could answer Devin's questions intelligently, Anna explained. I learned quite a lot about solar panel efficiency and wind turbine technology. Your company's innovations are impressive. Something warm spread through Lincoln's chest at the realization that Anna had taken the time to research his professional life. That was very thoughtful of you. Devin loves visiting my office and understanding how clean energy technology works. Speaking of which, Devin interjected, settling onto the bar stool next to Anna with the practiced ease of a child accustomed to adult conversations. Miss Anna, do you know why solar panels work better when they are clean? I confess I do not, Anna replied, turning her full attention to Devin. Will you teach me? As Devin launched into an explanation of how dust and debris interfered with photon absorption, Lincoln found himself studying Anna's profile. She listened with genuine interest, asking follow-up questions that demonstrated both understanding and curiosity. Most adults humored children's technical explanations with polite patience, but Anna seemed truly engaged. Devin, Lincoln said gently, Miss Anna probably needs to know about your daily routine before she gets a complete education in renewable energy technology. Right, Devin agreed. Miss Anna, I eat breakfast at 7:30. I do educational activities until 10:30. Then I have free playtime until lunch. After lunch, I have quiet time for reading or puzzles, then outdoor play if the weather is good, then snack time, then more educational activities until Daddy comes home. Anna nodded, making notes in a small leather journal. That sounds like a wonderful balance of structure and flexibility. What are your favorite educational activities? Math games, science experiments, reading chapter books, and building things with blocks or Legos, Devin replied promptly. I also like art projects, but I am not very good at staying inside the lines. The most interesting art happens outside the lines, Anna said seriously. Following rules is important, but creativity means knowing when rules can be bent to make something beautiful. Lincoln paused in his morning routine, struck by the wisdom in Anna's response. She had managed to validate Devin's creative instincts while acknowledging the value of structure and discipline. It was exactly the kind of balanced guidance Lincoln hoped to provide, but often felt too rushed or preoccupied to deliver effectively. Miss Anna, Devin continued, do you have any children of your own? The question hung in the morning air with the innocence of childhood curiosity and the complexity of adult experience. Lincoln saw something flicker across Anna's expression, too quickly to interpret, but significant enough to notice. I do not have children of my own, Anna replied gently, "but I have been fortunate to spend time with many wonderful children like you. Each child teaches me something new about the world." "Why do not you have your own children?" Devin persisted with the relentless honesty of a 6-year-old who had not yet learned that some questions touched sensitive territory. "Devin," Lincoln interjected gently, "that is a very personal question." "Miss Anna does not have to answer if she prefers not to," Anna smiled, but Lincoln caught something wistful in her expression. "It is all right. Sometimes life takes us on different paths than we expected, Devin. Right now, my path has led me to spending time with you, which feels like a wonderful gift." The simple eloquence of her answer impressed Lincoln almost as much as her grace in handling his son's innocent but probing question. Anna possessed the rare ability to be honest with children without burdening them with adult complexities. "I think it is a gift for us too," Devin announced, with the definitive tone he used for important declarations. "Daddy, do not you think Miss Anna being here is a gift?" Lincoln met Anna's eyes across the kitchen island, noting the slight flush that colored her cheeks. "I think you are absolutely right, buddy. Miss Anna being here feels like exactly what our family needed." The moment stretched between them, filled with the kind of recognition that arrived without warning and changed everything without explanation. Lincoln found himself wondering about Anna's story, about the experiences that had shaped her gentle wisdom and the dreams that motivated her careful dedication to other people's children. "Well," he said, clearing his throat and returning to practical matters, "I should review emergency procedures and contact information before I leave for the office." They spent the next 15 minutes discussing practical details, but Lincoln found his attention divided between logistics and observation. Anna took careful notes, asked thoughtful questions, and demonstrated the kind of attention to detail that suggested she took this responsibility seriously. When Devin wandered off to retrieve his dinosaur encyclopedia, Lincoln found himself alone with Anna for the first time since she had entered their home. "Miss Anna," he said quietly, "I want you to know how much I appreciate the care you have already shown in preparing for this position, researching my work, bringing educational materials for Devin, taking time to understand our family's needs. It means more than you might realize." Anna's smile was soft but radiant. "Mr. Wells, spending time with children is not just my profession, it is my calling. Devin is clearly a remarkable little boy, and you have done a beautiful job raising him. I am honored to be part of supporting his continued growth." The sincerity in her voice touched something deep in Lincoln's chest. "Thank you. That means everything to a father who often wonders if he is managing to do right by his son." "From what I have seen," Anna said gently, "Devin knows he is deeply loved and carefully guided. That is the foundation for everything else." Before Lincoln could respond, Devin returned with his arms full of books and his face bright with anticipation. "Miss Anna, are you ready for your advanced course in paleontology?" "I have been looking forward to it all morning," Anna replied, and Lincoln realized that she genuinely had been. As he gathered his briefcase and prepared to leave for the office, Lincoln felt something he had not experienced in months, complete confidence that his son would be not just cared for, but truly nurtured in his absence. Anna Smith had brought something into their home that went beyond professional competence. She had brought the kind of attention and affection that felt remarkably like what Lincoln had always hoped family could be. "Have a wonderful day, both of you," he said, pausing at the kitchen doorway for one last look at Anna, and Devin bent over the dinosaur encyclopedia together. "Bye, Daddy," Devin called without looking up. "Miss Anna and I are going to learn about the Jurassic period. We will have stories to share when you get home," Anna added, glancing up with a smile that seemed to promise that the day would be filled with exactly the kind of joy Lincoln wanted for his son. As Lincoln drove toward his office, He found himself anticipating the evening's conversation in a way that had nothing to do with checking off parental responsibilities and everything to do with the surprising pleasure of sharing his son's discoveries with someone who seemed to genuinely understand what made Devin special. 3 weeks into Anna's employment, Lincoln had established a new evening routine that he looked forward to with an anticipation that surprised him. Each night after dinner, while Devin played quietly with his Legos, Lincoln and Anna would sit at the kitchen island discussing the day's activities, upcoming schedules, and increasingly, topics that had nothing to do with professional caregiving. "He built an entire ecosystem today," Anna was saying, her eyes bright with the enthusiasm she seemed to bring to all of Devin's accomplishments. "Complete with predator-prey relationships and environmental adaptation theories. At 6 years old, Mr. Wells, he explained to me why certain dinosaurs developed armor and others developed speed, and his reasoning was completely sound." Lincoln leaned back in his chair, watching Anna's animated description of his son's latest intellectual adventure. Over the past few weeks, he had begun to notice small details that had nothing to do with her professional qualifications. The way she tucked a strand of hair behind her ear when she was thinking. The musical quality of her laugh when Devin said something particularly clever. The graceful efficiency with which she moved around his kitchen, somehow making even simple tasks look elegant. "Did he tell you his theory about why Triceratops had 3 horns instead of 2? Lincoln asked, already knowing the answer would showcase both Devin's creativity and Anna's patient listening skills. "He said 2 horns would be for fighting, but the 3rd horn was for making friends with other Triceratops," Anna replied, smiling at the memory. According to Devin, the middle horn was used for gentle touching when they wanted to show affection, like how people hold hands. "That sounds like Devin," Lincoln said, feeling the familiar warmth that came with recognition of his son's tender heart. "He has always been fascinated by how creatures show care for each other," Anna nodded, then hesitated slightly before continuing. "He also asked me today why some families have 2 parents living together and others have parents who live in different houses." Lincoln felt his chest tighten. Despite his and Sarah's best efforts to maintain an amicable divorce and healthy co-parenting relationship, Devin still occasionally wrestled with questions about family structure and his parents' decision to separate. "What did you tell him?" Lincoln asked, genuinely curious about how Anna had navigated such delicate territory. "I told him that families come in many different shapes, and what matters most is that children know they are loved by all the adults who care for them," Anna replied carefully. "I said that sometimes parents make different choices about where they live, but that never changes how much they love their children." Lincoln studied Anna's face, noting the thoughtful consideration she had clearly given to her response. "That was exactly the right thing to say. Thank you for handling that with such care. He also mentioned that he likes having you to himself most of the time," Anna continued, "but that he sometimes wonders what it would be like to have a mother figure who lived here too." The words settled into the quiet kitchen with the weight of a child's longing and an adult's recognition of complex emotional territory. Lincoln found himself looking at Anna more intently than he had intended, suddenly aware that his son's wondering might not be entirely theoretical. "Devin has always been perceptive about relationships," Lincoln said, his voice slightly rougher than normal. "Sometimes I worry that my focus on building the business has left gaps in his emotional experience." "Mr. Wells," Anna said gently, "from what I observe every day, Devin knows beyond any doubt that he is your priority. Yes, you work hard, but you also make time for dinosaur discussions at breakfast, bedtime stories every night, and weekend adventures that are completely focused on his interests. He feels secure in your love." Something in Anna's tone suggested that she understood the challenges of balancing professional ambitions with personal relationships from her own experience. Lincoln found himself curious about the path that had led her to specialize in caring for other people's children, while apparently choosing not to have her own. "Miss Anna," he said, then paused, wondering if his question would cross professional boundaries. "May I ask what made you choose child development as your career? You clearly have a gift for understanding children, but you also have the intelligence and education for any number of other paths." Anna was quiet for a moment, and Lincoln saw her fingers trace the rim of her coffee mug with the kind of unconscious gesture that suggested deeper thought. "I was raised by adoptive parents," she said finally, her voice soft but clear. "They were wonderful people who gave me every opportunity and loved me completely, but I always wondered about my biological family. Working with children allows me to create the kind of nurturing environment I always hoped existed somewhere in my own story." The revelation hung between them, intimate and significant. Lincoln felt something shift in his understanding of Anna, recognizing the courage it required to share such personal information with an employer. "That must have been challenging," he said carefully, "wondering about your history and your original family." "It was," Anna acknowledged. "But it also taught me that family is often about choice and commitment rather than just biology. The Smiths chose to love me, and I chose to let them become my real parents. That experience shaped my belief that the most important relationships are the ones we nurture through daily care and attention." Lincoln found himself thinking about his own relationship with Devin, about the daily choices that built trust and connection between parent and child. He also found himself thinking about Anna's presence in their home, about how naturally she had become part of their routine and how much richer their family life had become since her arrival. "Devin is fortunate to have you in his life," Lincoln said, meaning it more deeply than he had expected. "You bring something to his world that goes beyond professional caregiving." Anna's cheeks colored slightly, and she glanced toward the living room where Devin was constructing an elaborate Lego city with intense concentration. "He brings something to my world too," she replied quietly. "Working with your family feels different than other positions I have held. More like belonging than just employment." The words created a moment of recognition that neither of them seemed prepared to examine too closely. Lincoln found himself studying Anna's profile, noting the way the kitchen lighting brought out golden tones in her auburn hair and the gentle curve of her smile when she watched Devin play. "Miss Anna," Devin called from the living room, "can you help me figure out how to make a hospital for my Lego people? I want to make sure they have a place to go when they get hurt." "Of course," Anna replied, rising from her chair with the natural grace that Lincoln had begun to notice in everything she did. "A hospital is a very important part of any community." As Anna moved toward the living room, Lincoln found himself appreciating not just her willingness to engage with his son's projects, but the way she approached each request with genuine interest rather than dutiful compliance. She had not just become Devin's caregiver, she had become his collaborator in exploring the world's possibilities. "Mr. Wells," Anna said, turning back toward the kitchen, "would you like to help us design the hospital? Devin mentioned that you know about building efficient systems." The invitation was casual, but Lincoln heard something in Anna's tone that suggested she wanted his company for reasons that extended beyond Devin's project. The thought both pleased and unsettled him in ways that had nothing to do with professional boundaries and everything to do with the growing awareness that Anna Smith was becoming far more important to his family's happiness than he had planned. "I would love to help," he replied, setting aside the work emails he had intended to review and following Anna toward the living room where his son was creating small plastic worlds with infinite care and imagination. As the three of them settled on the carpet around Devin's elaborate Lego construction, Lincoln realized that these evening moments had become the highlight of his days. Not because of any particular activity or conversation, but because of the way Anna's presence transformed their house into something that felt more complete, more like the family Lincoln had always hoped to create, but had never quite known how to build. The October morning brought the kind of crisp air that promised changing seasons and new possibilities. Lincoln stood at his office window, watching leaves drift past the glass, while his mind wandered to thoughts that had very little to do with the quarterly reports awaiting his attention. For the past month, Anna Smith had become so seamlessly integrated into their family routine that he could barely remember what their evenings had been like before her arrival. "Mr. Wells," his assistant's voice carried through the intercom with the tone she reserved for delicate situations. "Miss Smith is on line 2. She says it is about Devin, but not an emergency." Lincoln's pulse quickened slightly as he reached for the phone, noting his own reaction with a mixture of concern and self-awareness. When had Anna's voice become something he looked forward to hearing in the middle of his workday? "Miss Anna," he said, settling into his desk chair. "Is everything all right?" "Everything is fine," Anna replied, and Lincoln could hear the smile in her voice. "Actually, everything is wonderful. I called because Devin has accomplished something rather remarkable, and I thought you should know immediately." "What has our resident paleontologist discovered now?" Lincoln asked, already anticipating one of his son's creative breakthroughs. "He read an entire chapter book this morning," Anna said, her voice bright with pride and excitement, "cover to cover in one sitting. It was a story about a boy who builds a robot to help his grandfather with yard work. Devin not only read every word, but also explained to me how the robot's programming could be improved using solar power technology." Lincoln felt warmth spread through his chest, the kind of parental pride that made everything else in his day seem secondary. "He read an entire chapter book, by himself, completely independently," Anna confirmed. "I offered to help several times, but he was determined to do it alone. Mr. Wells, his reading comprehension is remarkable. He understood complex plot elements, character motivation, and technical concepts that many children his age would find challenging." "This is incredible news," Lincoln said, already imagining Devin's excitement when he arrived home that evening. "How did he seem about his accomplishment?" "Proud but not boastful," Anna replied. "He asked if we could call you to share the news, but then he decided he wanted to surprise you in person tonight. He spent the afternoon writing a book report to show you his understanding of the story." Lincoln found himself smiling at the mental image of his son carefully composing his thoughts about robots and grandfathers and solar technology. "Miss Anna, thank you for recognizing the significance of this moment and for encouraging his independence. Not everyone would have understood how important it was for him to complete the book without assistance. Children know when they are ready for challenges," Anna said softly. "Our job is to provide opportunities and support, but also to step back and let them discover their own capabilities." Something in Anna's tone suggested she was speaking from personal experience about the importance of independence and self-discovery. Lincoln found himself curious about her own childhood, about the experiences that had shaped her understanding of how children developed confidence and competence. "Miss Anna," he said, then paused, wondering if his next words would cross the professional boundaries he had been trying to maintain. "Would you be interested in joining us for dinner tonight? I think Devin would love to share his book report with both of us, and honestly, I would enjoy hearing your thoughts about his reading development." The silence that followed lasted just long enough for Lincoln to wonder if he had made a mistake by extending the invitation. Then Anna's voice returned, warmer than before. "I would like that very much," she said. "Should I plan to stay after my regular hours, or would you prefer that I return this evening?" "Stay, please," Lincoln replied quickly, then wondered at his own eagerness. "I mean, it would be more convenient for everyone if you simply stayed for dinner. I can pick up groceries on my way home, or we could order something special to celebrate Devin's achievement." "Actually," Anna said, "if you do not mind, I would love to cook dinner for your family. Devin mentioned that he enjoys learning about different foods, and I thought it might be fun to prepare something that connects to the book he read." Lincoln paused, struck by the thoughtfulness of Anna's suggestion and by her casual reference to "your family" in a way that seemed to include herself. "That sounds wonderful. Do you need me to pick up any special ingredients?" "I have everything handled," Anna replied. "Just come home ready to celebrate a very accomplished young reader." After ending the call, Lincoln found himself staring out his office window with a smile that had nothing to do with quarterly projections or technology innovations. Anna had called to share Devin's achievement, but the conversation had felt like so much more. The easy warmth of their exchange, her thoughtful plan for dinner, the way she had referred to his family as if she were already part of it, all suggested a relationship that was evolving beyond professional caregiving into something deeper and more significant. The afternoon passed with unusual speed, largely because Lincoln found himself anticipating the evening ahead with the kind of excitement typically reserved for special occasions. As he drove home through neighborhoods decorated with autumn leaves and Halloween preparations, he realized that dinner with Anna and Devin felt like exactly the kind of special occasion he had been hoping to create for his family. The scent of something delicious greeted him as he opened the front door, along with the sound of Devin's laughter and Anna's encouraging voice coming from the kitchen. Lincoln paused in the foyer, struck by how completely natural these sounds felt in his home. "Daddy!" Devin appeared in the hallway with his face flushed from excitement and what appeared to be a light dusting of flour. "Miss Anna is teaching me to make bread, and I read a whole book today, and I wrote you a report about robots and grandfathers and solar energy." Lincoln knelt to embrace his son, breathing in the sense of childhood and home cooking, and feeling overwhelmed by the simple perfection of the moment. "I heard about your reading accomplishment, buddy. I am so proud of you." "Miss Anna said reading big books is like building muscles," Devin explained seriously. "The more you practice, the stronger you get, and then you can read even bigger books with even more interesting stories." "Miss Anna is very wise," Lincoln replied, glancing toward the kitchen where he could see Anna moving with quiet efficiency between stove and counter. She had changed from her usual professional attire into jeans and a soft sweater that made her look younger and somehow more approachable. "Mr. Wells!" Anna called, looking up with a smile that seemed to illuminate the entire kitchen. "Welcome home. Devin and I have been having quite an adventure in culinary science." Lincoln joined them in the kitchen, noting the organized chaos of cooking in progress and the way Anna had managed to involve Devin in meal preparation without sacrificing either safety or quality. Fresh bread was cooling on wire racks, something that smelled like roasted chicken, and herbs was in the oven, and colorful vegetables were arranged on cutting boards with the precision of someone who understood that cooking could be both art and education. "This looks and smells incredible," Lincoln said, meaning it completely. "What inspired tonight's menu?" "The book Devin read featured a grandfather who grew vegetables in his garden," Anna explained, adding seasoning to what appeared to be roasted root vegetables. "I thought we could create a meal that connected to his story while exploring different flavors and cooking techniques." "And Miss Anna taught me about how yeast works," Devin added enthusiastically. "It is like tiny creatures that eat sugar and make bubbles that help bread rise." "It is basically biology and chemistry happening right in our kitchen," Lincoln watched his son's animated explanation, marveling at Anna's ability to transform even simple cooking into an educational adventure that captured Devin's imagination. "It sounds like you learned as much from cooking as you did from reading today." "Learning happens everywhere," Anna said softly, meeting Lincoln's eyes across the kitchen island. "The trick is recognizing opportunities and being willing to explore them together." Something in her tone suggested she was talking about more than childhood education, and Lincoln felt his awareness of her shift slightly. Anna Smith was not just an exceptionally qualified caregiver. She was an intelligent, creative woman who brought thoughtfulness and joy to everything she touched, including his family's daily life. "Can I show you my book report now?" Devin asked, tugging on Lincoln's sleeve with barely contained excitement. "I cannot wait to read it," Lincoln replied, following his son toward the dining room table where several sheets of paper were arranged with the careful presentation of an important document. As Devin began reading his detailed analysis of robots, grandfathers, problem-solving, and the potential applications of solar technology in automated gardening, Lincoln found his attention divided between pride in his son's achievement and awareness of Anna listening from the kitchen, with the kind of focused attention that made even a 6-year-old feel like his thoughts mattered. This, Lincoln realized, was what family was supposed to feel like. Shared accomplishments, home-cooked meals, conversations that mattered, and the presence of people who cared about each other's daily discoveries and small triumphs. Anna had not just become part of their routine, she had helped create the kind of family life Lincoln had always wanted, but had never quite known how to build. The November evening carried the kind of chill that made indoor warmth feel like a precious gift. Lincoln arrived home to find his house glowing with soft lamplight and the comfortable sounds of family life, a combination that never failed to lift his spirits after long days of corporate decisions and technology development challenges. "Daddy, you are just in time," Devin called from the living room, where he was sprawled on the carpet with colored pencils and construction paper scattered around him in creative chaos. "Miss Anna and I are making Thanksgiving cards for everyone we want to thank this year." Lincoln paused in the doorway, taking in the scene that had become so familiar and yet still filled him with quiet amazement. Anna sat cross-legged on the floor beside his son, her auburn hair catching the lamplight as she helped Devin arrange cut-out turkey shapes with the patient attention she brought to all of his projects. "That sounds like a wonderful project," Lincoln said, settling onto the sofa behind them. "Who is on your gratitude list this year, buddy?" "Well, you obviously," Devin replied, wielding an orange crayon with artistic determination. "And Miss Anna, because she makes everything more fun and teaches me interesting things every day. And Mommy, because she still takes me for ice cream on Sundays. And Grandpa and Grandma Wells, because they send me books and always remember what stories I like." Lincoln watched his son's careful work, noting how naturally Devin had included Anna in his list of people deserving gratitude and recognition. Over the past 2 months, Anna had become so integral to their family life that Lincoln could barely remember what their evenings had been like before her arrival. "Miss Anna," Devin continued, glancing up from his artwork, "who are you making cards for?" Anna held up her own construction paper creation, which featured significantly more sophisticated artistic technique than typical Thanksgiving crafts. "I am making one for you and your father, because working with your family has been the best part of my year. And I'm making one for my adoptive parents in Portland, because they taught me that families are built through love and daily care." "Are you going to visit them for Thanksgiving?" Lincoln asked, suddenly realizing he had not considered Anna's holiday plans and feeling unexpectedly concerned about the possibility of her absence. "I usually spend Thanksgiving quietly," Anna replied, her tone carefully neutral. "My parents passed away 3 years ago, and I have not yet established new holiday traditions." The words settled into the warm living room with the weight of loss and solitude. Lincoln felt something tighten in his chest as he recognized the loneliness behind Anna's practical explanation. "Miss Anna," Devin said, with the directness that 6-year-olds brought to solving adult problems, "you should have Thanksgiving dinner with us. We always have too much food anyway, and Daddy makes really good stuffing." Lincoln caught Anna's surprised expression and felt his own heart respond to his son's instinctive generosity. "Devin has an excellent point. Miss Anna, would you consider joining our family for Thanksgiving? We typically have a small celebration here at home, and we would love to have you with us." Anna's eyes brightened, but Lincoln caught a flicker of uncertainty in her expression. "That is incredibly kind, but I would not want to intrude on your family time." "You would not be intruding," Lincoln said, meaning it more deeply than he had expected. "Anna, you have become part of our family's daily life. It would feel strange to celebrate gratitude without you here." "Please, Miss Anna," Devin added, setting down his crayon to focus entirely on persuasion. "Thanksgiving is supposed to be about being thankful for people who make your life better, and you definitely make our life better." Lincoln watched Anna's face transform as she processed the invitation and Devin's earnest reasoning. Her smile started slowly but grew until it illuminated her entire expression. "In that case," she said softly, "I would be honored to spend Thanksgiving with your family." "Excellent," Devin announced, returning to his card-making with renewed enthusiasm. "Now I can put on your card that you are going to have Thanksgiving dinner with us, which makes me even more grateful." As Anna and Devin returned to their artistic endeavors, Lincoln found himself studying Anna's profile and thinking about the conversation they had just shared. She had mentioned loss and solitude with the kind of quiet dignity that suggested deep strength, but also real loneliness. The idea of Anna spending Thanksgiving alone bothered him more than he expected, and not just because of general compassion for someone without family nearby. Somewhere in the past 2 months, Anna Smith had become important to Lincoln in ways that extended far beyond her professional relationship with Devin. She had brought warmth and wisdom to their home, yes, but she had also brought something less definable and more significant. Her presence made their family feel complete in a way Lincoln had not realized it was missing. "Miss Anna," Devin said, interrupting Lincoln's thoughts, "can you help me write something on Daddy's card? I want to say something really important, but I need help with the big words." "Of course," Anna replied, moving closer to Devin's workspace. "What would you like to say?" Devin chewed on his crayon thoughtfully, the way he did when processing complex ideas. "I want to tell Daddy that I am grateful he works so hard to take care of me, but also that he always has time for the things that matter to me, and I want to say that he is good at being both a daddy and a friend." Anna glanced at Lincoln with an expression that seemed to acknowledge the profound sweetness of his son's words. "Those are beautiful thoughts, Devin. Let me help you find the right way to write them." Lincoln watched Anna guide his son through the process of expressing gratitude and love in written form, noting the patience and care she brought to helping Devin articulate his feelings. The scene felt intimate and significant in ways that had nothing to do with holiday crafts and everything to do with the recognition that Anna understood what mattered most to his family. "Daddy," Devin said, holding up his completed card with obvious pride, "do you want to see what Miss Anna helped me write?" Lincoln accepted the construction paper card, noting Devin's careful handwriting and the turkey decorations that surrounded his message. As he read his son's words about gratitude and love and the importance of both work and attention, Lincoln felt his throat tighten with emotion. "This is beautiful, buddy," he said, pulling Devin close for a hug that carried all the love and appreciation he sometimes struggled to express in words. "Thank you for reminding me what really matters." "What really matters is that we take care of each other," Devin replied, with the wisdom that children sometimes possessed without trying. Like you take care of me, and Miss Anna takes care of both of us, and we take care of Miss Anna by inviting her for Thanksgiving dinner." Lincoln glanced at Anna over Devon's head, noting the soft expression in her green eyes and the way she seemed to be absorbing his son's innocent philosophy about family and mutual care. "You are absolutely right," Lincoln said, meaning it completely. "Taking care of each other is exactly what matters most." As the evening progressed and Anna helped Devon finish his collection of gratitude cards, Lincoln found himself thinking about Thanksgiving and the prospect of sharing the holiday with Anna. The invitation had been natural and appropriate, but his anticipation felt like something more significant than simple holiday hospitality. Ina Smith had arrived in their lives as a professional caregiver, but she had become something much more important. She had become the missing piece that transformed their house into a home and their routine into a real family life. And if Lincoln was honest with himself, she had also become someone he looked forward to seeing each day for reasons that had very little to do with Devon's care and everything to do with the way her presence made him feel more like the man he wanted to be. Thanksgiving morning arrived with the golden light and crisp air that made November feel like a month designed specifically for gratitude and reflection. Lincoln woke earlier than usual, not from obligation but from anticipation. Today would mark the first holiday celebration in their home that included Anna, and he found himself wanting everything to be perfect. The kitchen became a symphony of preparation as Lincoln and Devon worked together on dishes that had become their traditional contribution to Thanksgiving meals. Ina had offered to handle desserts and side dishes, leaving father and son to manage the turkey and stuffing that had become Lincoln's signature holiday offerings. "Daddy, do you think Miss Anna will like our stuffing?" Devon asked, carefully measuring herbs with the precision of someone who took cooking seriously. "I want today to be special for her since she usually spends Thanksgiving by herself." Lincoln paused in his turkey preparation, struck once again by his son's intuitive compassion and desire to make others feel welcomed and valued. "I think Miss Anna will love everything about today, buddy, but most of all, I think she will love being part of our family celebration." "She is part of our family now, is not she?" Devon said, more statement than question. "I mean, she takes care of us, and we take care of her, and we all like being together. That sounds like family to me." The observation hung in the warm kitchen air with the weight of childhood wisdom and adult recognition. Lincoln found himself considering his son's words more carefully than he might have expected, acknowledging that Anna had indeed become family in all the ways that mattered most. The doorbell rang at precisely 11 o'clock, and Lincoln opened the door to find Anna holding a covered dish and wearing a soft amber sweater that brought out golden highlights in her auburn hair. She looked beautiful, but more than that, she looked like someone genuinely excited to be part of their family's holiday celebration. "Happy Thanksgiving," she said, stepping into the foyer with the kind of smile that seemed to bring additional warmth to an already welcoming space. "I brought sweet potato casserole and homemade cranberry sauce, and I may have gotten slightly carried away with dessert options." "Miss Anna." Devon appeared in the hallway, wearing his best khaki pants and a button-down shirt that made him look suddenly older. "You look really pretty, and something smells amazing. Did you bring pie?" "I brought apple pie, pumpkin pie, and chocolate brownies," Anna replied, laughing at Devon's immediate focus on dessert possibilities. "I could not decide what your family might prefer, so I made several options." Lincoln accepted the dishes Anna offered, noting the care with which she had prepared each item and the way she had clearly put significant thought into contributing to their celebration. "Anna, this is incredible. You have done far too much work." "I wanted to contribute something meaningful to our first Thanksgiving together," Anna replied, and Lincoln caught the slight emphasis she placed on our and first, words that suggested she was thinking about future celebrations as well as the current one. The afternoon unfolded with the comfortable rhythm of family traditions combined with new discoveries. Ina fit seamlessly into their established routines while adding her own touches that enhanced everything from conversation to presentation. She listened to Devin's detailed explanation of why cranberries grew in bogs, contributed thoughtful questions that encouraged his scientific curiosity, and helped Lincoln coordinate the timing of multiple dishes with the kind of natural competence that made cooking feel like collaboration rather than work. "Miss Anna," Devin said, as they arranged the dining room table with Lincoln's grandmother's china and fresh flowers Anna had brought, "what are you most thankful for this year?" Anna paused in her careful placement of silverware, considering the question with the thoughtfulness she brought to all of Devin's inquiries. "I am thankful for unexpected opportunities that led me to work with your family. I am thankful for the chance to watch you grow and learn every day. And I am thankful for the reminder that family can be created through love and shared experiences, not just biology." Lincoln found himself studying Anna's face as she spoke, noting the genuine emotion in her voice and the way her answer seemed to encompass both professional gratitude and deeper personal feelings. "What about you, Daddy?" Devin continued, clearly enjoying his role as conversation facilitator. "What are you most thankful for?" Lincoln considered his answer carefully, aware that both Anna and Devin were listening with attention that made his response feel significant. "I am thankful for you, obviously, and for the daily reminder that being your father is the most important job I will ever have. I'm thankful for work that allows me to provide for our family while contributing to environmental solutions. And I am thankful for people who come into our lives and make everything better simply by being themselves." The last part of his answer was directed at Anna, though Lincoln tried to deliver it with the kind of casual warmth that would not make anyone uncomfortable. Anna's slight blush suggested she understood his meaning. "I am thankful for dinosaurs," Devin announced with the definitive tone he used for important declarations, "and for solar energy, and for people who listen to my ideas even when they are complicated. And I am thankful that Miss Anna came to live with us and made our family bigger and more fun." As they settled around the dining room table that had been transformed with Anna's flowers and careful attention to detail, Lincoln felt overwhelmed by the simple perfection of the moment. The three of them together, sharing food and conversation and gratitude, felt like exactly what he had always hoped holiday celebrations could be. "Should we say grace?" Anna asked softly, looking between Lincoln and Devin with the kind of respectful inquiry that acknowledged different family traditions. "We usually just take a moment to think about what we are grateful for," Lincoln replied, "but if you would like to share a blessing or prayer, we would welcome that." Anna reached for both Lincoln's and Devin's hands, creating a circle around the table that felt both intimate and sacred. "Thank you for the food we are about to share, for the home that welcomes us, and for the love that makes us family. Help us remember that the greatest gifts are often the people who choose to care for us, and help us be worthy of the trust and affection we have been given." The simple blessing settled over their table with warmth that had nothing to do with the temperature of the food and everything to do with the recognition that they were sharing something significant. Lincoln found himself reluctant to release Anna's hand, noting how naturally her fingers had intertwined with his and how right the connection felt. As they began passing dishes and filling plates with the abundance of their combined efforts, Lincoln realized that this Thanksgiving would mark itself in his memory as the day their family had officially expanded from 2 to 3. Anna had not just joined their celebration, she had helped create the kind of holiday experience that felt worthy of genuine gratitude and future repetition. "Miss Anna," Devin said around a bite of stuffing, "next year can we have Thanksgiving here again? I like how our house feels when you help make it special." Anna glanced at Lincoln with an expression that seemed to ask permission for the future plans Devin was already making. Lincoln smiled, hoping his expression conveyed what his words could not quite express in front of his son. "I think that sounds like a wonderful tradition to establish," Lincoln said carefully. "Our home feels most like home when it is filled with people we care about." As conversation continued around their Thanksgiving table, Lincoln found himself thinking less about gratitude for what they had and more about anticipation for what their family might become. Enna Smith had arrived in their lives as temporary help, but she had become something permanent and precious, and if Lincoln was reading the signs correctly, she might be interested in making that permanence official in ways that had nothing to do with professional employment and everything to do with love. The December morning brought the kind of crystalline sunshine that made winter feel like a season of possibilities rather than limitations. Lincoln stood at his kitchen counter, preparing coffee with the efficient movements of a man whose routine had been perfected through months of practice. But his attention kept drifting to the sounds of laughter coming from the living room, where Anna and Devin were engaged in what appeared to be an intense discussion about Christmas traditions. Since Thanksgiving 3 weeks earlier, something indefinable had shifted in the atmosphere of their home. Enna still maintained her professional excellence in caring for Devin, but the boundaries between employee and family member had become increasingly blurred in ways that felt natural rather than concerning. She lingered after her official hours to help with dinner preparation, joined their weekend activities without formal invitation, and had begun contributing to household decisions with the input of someone whose opinion truly mattered. "Daddy," Devin called from the living room, "Miss Anna says that in some families people make gingerbread houses together. Can we try that this year?" Lincoln smiled, recognizing his son's diplomatic way of suggesting new traditions that happened to align with activities Anna had mentioned. Over the past few weeks, Devin had become an enthusiastic advocate for anything that involved Anna's continued presence in their family life. "A gingerbread house sounds like an excellent addition to our Christmas celebrations," Lincoln replied, joining them in the living room where Anna was sitting cross-legged on the carpet with architectural sketches spread around her. "Are these blueprints for our construction project?" Anna laughed, and the sound filled the room with warmth that had nothing to do with the heating system. "Devin insisted that we needed structural plans if we were going to build something that would not collapse under the weight of too much frosting. We have been discussing load-bearing walls and the physics of candy decoration." Lincoln settled onto the sofa behind them, noting how the morning light streaming through the windows seemed to catch golden highlights in Anna's hair, and thinking that domestic scenes had never held such appeal before her arrival in their lives. "Miss Anna knows about architecture too," Devin announced, with the pride of someone whose favorite person possessed yet another fascinating skill. She said her adoptive father was an engineer and taught her about building things that last. "Your adoptive father sounds like he was a wise man," Lincoln said, curious about the family that had shaped Anna into the remarkable woman who had transformed their daily life. Anna's expression grew thoughtful, touched with the gentle melancholy that sometimes appeared when she spoke about her past. He was. Robert Smith believed that understanding how things were built helped you appreciate why they worked. He taught me that good foundations were essential for everything from houses to relationships. The words settled into the comfortable living room with meaning that seemed to extend beyond architecture or childhood lessons. Lincoln found himself studying Anna's profile, wondering about the experiences that had taught her to value stability and careful construction in both physical and emotional contexts. Speaking of foundations, Lincoln said, then paused, wondering if his next words would cross into territory they had been carefully avoiding. Anna, I have been thinking about our current arrangement, and I realize we never discussed how long you plan to work with our family. Anna's hands stilled on the sketches she had been organizing, and Lincoln saw something flicker across her expression too quickly to interpret completely. I suppose I have not thought about an end date, she replied carefully. My original plan was to work with families while completing my master's degree, but that timeline has become less important than I expected. Less important how? Lincoln asked, aware that Devon was listening to their conversation with the careful attention children brought to discussions that might affect their world. Working with your family feels different than other positions I have held, Anna said, her voice soft but clear. More like building something lasting than just providing temporary assistance. The admission hung between them with the weight of recognition and possibility. Lincoln felt his pulse quicken as he processed Anna's words and their implications for the future he had begun to envision. Miss Anna, Devon interjected with the directness that 6-year-olds brought to solving adult complications, are you going to stay with us forever? Because I really hope you are going to stay with us forever. Anna's cheeks colored slightly, but her smile was radiant as she reached over to ruffle Devon's hair. Forever is a very long time, but I cannot imagine wanting to be anywhere else right now. Lincoln felt something warm and hopeful expand in his chest as he processed Anna's response and the way she had looked at him while delivering it. The conversation was veering into personal territory that their professional relationship had not previously explored, but it felt like a natural progression rather than an uncomfortable boundary crossing. Actually, Lincoln said, making a decision that felt both inevitable and terrifying, I have been hoping we could discuss expanding your role here beyond childcare. Anna's green eyes met his with an expression of curiosity mixed with something that might have been anticipation. What kind of expansion did you have in mind? Well, Lincoln continued, aware that his next words would change everything between them. It occurs to me that our family functions better with you as part of it, and not just during business hours. I was wondering if you might consider making this arrangement more permanent and more personal. The silence that followed felt charged with possibility and uncertainty. Devon looked between the two adults with the focused attention of someone trying to decode important information, while Anna appeared to be processing Lincoln's suggestion with the care it deserved. Mr. Wells, Anna began, then paused, as if reconsidering her formal address. Lincoln, are you asking what I think you are asking? I am asking if you would be interested in exploring what it might mean for us to be a real family, Lincoln replied, surprised by his own courage in articulating the hope that had been growing for weeks. Not employer and employee, but partners in raising Devon and building the kind of life we all seem to thrive in together. Anna's smile started slowly but grew until it seemed to illuminate the entire room. I would be very interested in exploring that possibility. Does this mean Miss Anna is going to be my real mom now? Devon asked, with the enthusiasm of someone whose Christmas wishes were being granted ahead of schedule. Lincoln and Anna exchanged glances that acknowledged both the complexity of the question and the simple truth behind it. Anna had already become the maternal presence in Devon's life, just as she had become the partner Lincoln had not realized he was seeking. It means we are going to take time to figure out how to be the best family we can be, Anna replied, with the careful honesty she brought to all of Devon's important questions. And it means that the people who care about each other get to choose how they want to be together. As the morning progressed and they returned to planning gingerbread architecture, Lincoln found himself marveling at how naturally their conversation had evolved from professional boundaries to personal possibilities. Anna had not just agreed to stay. She had agreed to explore what staying might mean for all of them. The future suddenly felt bright with potential that had nothing to do with seasonal celebrations and everything to do with the recognition that sometimes the most important foundations were built not from blueprints, but from daily choices to care for each other in ways that created home. The mid-December afternoon brought the kind of bustling energy that transformed ordinary errands into adventures when shared with the right companions. Lincoln had suggested that Anna and Devin join him for Christmas shopping, ostensibly to help select gifts for extended family, but truthfully because he had discovered that almost any activity became more enjoyable when experienced together as a family unit. The shopping center buzzed with holiday energy as they navigated between stores, Anna pushing a cart while Devin provided running commentary on window displays, and Lincoln found himself studying other families with new understanding of what made the ordinary moments feel precious. "Daddy, look," Devin said, tugging on Lincoln's coat sleeve and pointing toward a storefront decorated with twinkling lights and elegant displays. "That jewelry store has really pretty things. Do you think Miss Anna would like something sparkly for Christmas?" Lincoln followed his son's gaze to the jewelry store window, noting the engagement rings prominently featured in the holiday display, and felt his pulse quicken in a way that had nothing to do with shopping fatigue. "What makes you think Miss Anna would like jewelry?" Lincoln asked, curious about his son's reasoning and simultaneously aware that Anna was listening to their conversation with amused attention. "She always wears that pretty necklace with the old-fashioned medal thing," Devin explained, with the observational skills of someone who paid attention to details. "I think she likes beautiful old things that tell stories." Lincoln glanced at Anna, noting the vintage medallion that Devin had referenced, a piece she wore frequently and that seemed to hold particular significance for her. The medallion was indeed beautiful, an intricate design that suggested both artistry and history. "This medallion was my most treasured purchase from my college years," Anna said, touching the piece with gentle reverence. "I found it in a Portland antique shop and fell in love with the craftsmanship. The shop owner said it was part of an estate sale from a family collection, probably from the 1980s based on the style. It suits you perfectly," Lincoln said, meaning it completely. "There is something timeless about it that matches your natural elegance." Anna's cheeks colored at the compliment, but her smile suggested pleasure rather than embarrassment. "Thank you. I have always been drawn to things with history and character. This piece feels like it was meant to be mine." As they continued their shopping expedition, Lincoln found himself thinking about Anna's attachment to the medallion and what it revealed about her appreciation for craftsmanship, history, and beauty. She possessed an innate sense of style that went beyond fashion trends to encompass a deeper understanding of quality and meaning. "Miss Anna," Devin said as they paused outside a bookstore featuring holiday displays, "do you think we should get Daddy a book about being even better at being a dad? He is already really good, but maybe he wants to learn new things." Anna laughed, exchanging a look with Lincoln that acknowledged their son's diplomatic gift-giving suggestions. "I think your father is an excellent dad, exactly as he is, but people who care about learning are always interested in growing and improving." "What about a book on balancing work and family?" Lincoln suggested, recognizing an opportunity to address questions that had been occupying his thoughts lately. "I have been wondering if I am managing that balance as well as I could be. From my perspective," Anna said thoughtfully, "you have achieved something remarkable in creating space for both professional excellence and devoted fatherhood. Devin never doubts that he is your priority, even when you are managing complex business responsibilities." The observation touched Lincoln more deeply than he had expected. "That means everything to me, Anna. Sometimes I worry that the demands of building Wells Corporation might overshadow what matters most." "Miss Anna is right," Devin added with the authority of someone offering expert testimony. You always have time for dinosaur discussions and bedtime stories and weekend adventures. And now you have time for gingerbread architecture too. As they entered the bookstore, Lincoln found himself appreciating not just Anna's support and understanding, but the way she helped him see his own parenting through more generous eyes. Her presence in their lives had created space for him to be both the father and the man he wanted to be. Actually, Anna said, as they browsed through sections of books on family, relationships, and personal development, I have been wondering about your business lately. Devin mentions that you work with solar energy and environmental technology. That sounds like meaningful work that makes a positive difference. Lincoln felt a familiar warmth when discussing the mission that drove his professional efforts. Wells Corporation develops software solutions that help optimize renewable energy systems. We work with companies and institutions to maximize efficiency in solar, wind, and hybrid power systems. That is incredible, Anna replied, and Lincoln could hear genuine admiration in her voice. You are literally helping create a more sustainable future while building a company and raising a son. That is the kind of legacy that matters. It can be challenging to compete with more established companies in the renewable energy sector, Lincoln admitted. There is one company in particular, Sterling Industries, that has dominated the field for decades. They have resources and market presence that make them formidable competitors. Anna nodded thoughtfully. But you offer something they might not have, right? Innovation and agility that comes from being a newer company. Exactly, Lincoln said, impressed by Anna's quick understanding of competitive dynamics. Sterling Industries has an excellent reputation and long-term client relationships, but they are sometimes slower to adapt to new technologies. We can move faster and offer more cutting-edge solutions. Daddy, Devin interjected, does that mean you and the other company are like friendly competitors? Like when I race kids at school, but we are still friends afterward? Lincoln smiled at his son's interpretation of business dynamics. That is actually a very good way to think about it, buddy. Sterling Industries and Wells Corporation compete for contracts and market share, but we respect each other's work and commitment to environmental solutions. Healthy competition often brings out the best in everyone involved, Anna observed. It sounds like both companies benefit from challenging each other to be better. As they concluded their shopping expedition and headed home with arms full of packages and hearts full of shared experiences, Lincoln reflected on how naturally Anna had become interested in every aspect of their family life, from Devin's education to his own professional challenges. She did not just care for them. She cared about them in ways that encompassed their dreams, struggles, and aspirations. The December afternoon had brought more than successful Christmas shopping. It had brought additional confirmation that Anna Smith was the partner he had been hoping to find, someone who could appreciate both his devotion to fatherhood and his commitment to building something meaningful through his work. Miss Anna, Devin said as they loaded packages into the car, I think this was the best shopping trip ever because we did it together like a real family. I think you are absolutely right, Anna replied, settling into the passenger seat with a smile that seemed to promise many more family adventures ahead. Lincoln started the car with the satisfaction of a man whose life was beginning to align exactly as he had always hoped it would, complete with someone who understood that love was built through shared experiences and daily choices to care for each other's dreams. The first week of January brought the kind of crisp resolution that made new beginnings feel both inevitable and exciting. Lincoln sat in his home office, reviewing quarterly reports that demonstrated Wells Corporation's continued growth, but his attention kept drifting to the sounds of Anna and Devin engaged in what appeared to be a spirited discussion about winter science experiments. Over the past month, since their conversation about making their arrangement more permanent, Anna had seamlessly transitioned from employee to partner in ways that felt natural rather than forced. She contributed to household decisions, participated in weekend planning, and had begun offering insights about Devin's development that reflected not just professional expertise, but genuine maternal investment. Lincoln. Anna appeared in his office doorway wearing jeans and a soft sweater that made her look younger and somehow more approachable than her usual professional attire. "I hope I'm not interrupting important work, but Devin and I have encountered a scientific question that requires parental consultation." Lincoln smiled, saving his document and turning to give Anna his full attention. "I am always available for scientific consultation. What seems to be the debate? We are discussing whether ice expands when it freezes because the water molecules want more space to dance, or because they form crystal structures that take up more room." Anna explained with the serious tone she used for Devin's educational inquiries. "I confess that my chemistry knowledge is somewhat limited." "Both explanations are partially correct," Lincoln replied, following Anna toward the kitchen where Devin was arranging ice cubes on a tray with the careful precision of someone conducting important research. The molecules do rearrange themselves, but it is more about the specific pattern they form than about wanting to dance. "I told you Daddy would know the answer," Devin announced with satisfaction. "He knows about lots of science things because his company makes energy that comes from the sun and wind." Anna settled at the kitchen island, watching Lincoln explain molecular behavior with the same attention she brought to all their family interactions. Devin has been asking increasingly sophisticated questions about physics and chemistry lately. I think he may be ready for more advanced educational challenges. "What kind of challenges did you have in mind?" Lincoln asked, curious about Anna's assessment of his son's intellectual development. "Well," Anna said thoughtfully, "there is a youth science program at the university that offers Saturday enrichment classes for gifted children. I thought he might enjoy exploring laboratory settings and working with other children who share his curiosity about how the world works." Lincoln felt a familiar rush of gratitude for Anna's attention to Devin's needs and her proactive approach to supporting his development. "That sounds like an excellent opportunity. Have you researched the program requirements?" "I took the liberty of requesting information," Anna admitted, producing a folder from the kitchen counter. "The program accepts children starting at age 6, focuses on hands-on experimentation, and encourages collaborative learning. I thought it might complement the individual attention he receives at home." As Lincoln reviewed the program materials Anna had gathered, he found himself marveling once again at her thoughtful approach to every aspect of Devin's growth and education. She did not just provide childcare, she actively sought opportunities to enrich his son's intellectual and social development. "This looks perfect for him," Lincoln said, noting the program's emphasis on inquiry-based learning and scientific exploration. "Anna, thank you for thinking of this and taking the time to research the details. I want Devin to have every opportunity to explore his interests and develop his potential," Anna replied simply. "He has such a curious mind and genuine love of learning. It would be a shame not to nurture those gifts." Devin looked up from his ice cube observations with the bright expression he wore when adults discussed his education. "Miss Anna, if I go to science classes with other kids, will you still help me with experiments at home?" "Of course," Anna said, reaching over to smooth his hair with the unconscious gesture of maternal affection. "Home experiments and classroom learning work together to help you understand the world better." Lincoln watched this exchange, noting how naturally Anna had assumed the role of educational advocate and emotional support in Devin's life. She had become more than a caregiver or even a partner. She had become the kind of mother Lincoln had always hoped Devin would have. "Actually," Lincoln said, making a decision that felt both significant and overdue, "Anna, there is something I have been wanting to discuss with you about our family's future." Anna's attention focused entirely on Lincoln, and he saw something that might have been anticipation in her green eyes. "What kind of discussion?" "The kind where I acknowledge that what we have built together goes far beyond the professional arrangement we started with," Lincoln replied, aware that Devin was listening, but feeling that his son deserved to be part of this conversation. "Anna, you have become essential to our family's happiness and Devin's development. I cannot imagine our lives without you as a permanent part of them." Anna's smile began slowly, but grew until it seemed to illuminate the entire kitchen. "Lincoln, I feel exactly the same way. This family has become my home in ways I never expected when I first accepted the position." "Does this mean you are going to marry Daddy and be my real mom?" Devin asked, with the directness that children brought to questions adults sometimes approached more circuitously. Lincoln and Anna exchanged glances that acknowledged both the complexity and the simplicity of Devin's question. They had been building toward this conversation for weeks, but hearing it, articulated so clearly, made the possibility feel both thrilling and momentous. "Marriage is a big step that requires careful consideration and planning," Anna said gently, "but I can tell you that I love being part of this family and cannot imagine wanting to be anywhere else." "I love having you be part of our family too," Lincoln added, reaching across the kitchen island to take Anna's hand, in a gesture that felt both natural and significant. "And I think it is time we started talking about making that permanent in official ways." The simple contact of their joined hands created a moment of recognition and commitment that needed no additional words. Anna had arrived in their lives as temporary help, but she had become the permanent partner Lincoln had been seeking, and the mother Devin had been needing. "So we are going to be a real family now?" Devin asked, his voice bright with excitement and satisfaction. "We have been a real family for months," Anna replied, squeezing Lincoln's hand while smiling at Devin. "Now, we are just going to make it official, so everyone knows that we belong together." As the January afternoon progressed, and they returned to discussions of science programs, ice crystals, and weekend plans, Lincoln reflected on how naturally their conversation had evolved from educational opportunities to personal commitments. Anna had demonstrated once again that she thought about their family's future with the same care and attention she brought to daily interactions. The new year had brought clarity about what Lincoln wanted most: a life built around the people who mattered, work that made a positive difference, and the kind of love that grew stronger through shared experiences and mutual support. Anna Smith had made all of those dreams feel not just possible, but inevitable. The February evening carried the promise of approaching spring, even as winter still maintained its hold on the landscape outside their windows. Lincoln arrived home to find the house filled with the warm sense of dinner preparation and the comfortable sounds of family life that had become the soundtrack to his happiness. Anna stood at the stove, stirring something that smelled like herbs and comfort, while Devin sat at the kitchen island working on homework with the focused concentration he brought to tasks that interested him. The scene felt so naturally domestic that Lincoln sometimes forgot Anna had not always been part of their evening routine. "Perfect timing," Anna said, glancing up with the smile that never failed to make Lincoln feel like his day was complete. "Dinner will be ready in 10 minutes, and Devin has been saving a story about his science class to share with you. Daddy, you will not believe what we learned about renewable energy today," Devin announced, setting down his pencil with the dramatic flair he used for important revelations. Our teacher said that some companies are working on solar panels that can generate electricity even when it is cloudy. Lincoln settled at the kitchen island, appreciating both his son's enthusiasm and Anna's intuitive understanding of how to make his homecoming feel welcoming and significant. That is exactly the kind of innovation Wells Corporation is working on. Did your teacher mention any specific companies? She said there is a company called Sterling Industries that has been working on renewable energy for a really long time, and they are trying to develop new technologies that work better in different weather conditions. Devin continued, clearly proud of his newly acquired knowledge. Lincoln felt a familiar tightening in his chest at the mention of Sterling Industries, the company that represented both inspiration and competition in his professional life. Howard Sterling had built an impressive renewable energy empire over decades, and his company's reputation for innovation and ethical business practices made them formidable competitors for contracts and market recognition. Sterling Industries is indeed a well-established company in our field, Lincoln acknowledged carefully. Mr. Howard Sterling has been a leader in renewable energy development for many years. Do you know him? Anna asked, noting something in Lincoln's tone that suggested complex feelings about his primary business competitor. We have encountered each other at industry conferences and business events, Lincoln replied. Sterling Industries and Wells Corporation compete for many of the same contracts, but I have great respect for Howard Sterling's commitment to environmental solutions and ethical business practices. Is he like a friendly competitor? Devin asked, remembering their previous conversation about business relationships. Exactly like a friendly competitor, Lincoln confirmed. We both want our companies to succeed, but we also share a commitment to making renewable energy more accessible and effective. In many ways, our competition makes both companies better. Anna nodded thoughtfully as she transferred dinner to serving dishes. It sounds like the kind of professional relationship that elevates the entire industry. It is, Lincoln agreed, then hesitated slightly before continuing. Actually, there is a business event coming up next month that might be interesting for you to attend with me. The annual Business Excellence Gala recognizes companies and individuals who have made significant contributions to environmental sustainability and ethical business practices. Anna paused in her dinner preparations, turning to face Lincoln with an expression of surprise and curiosity. You would want me to attend a business event with you? I would love for you to attend with me, Lincoln replied, aware that his invitation represented a significant step in their relationship's evolution from private partnership to public acknowledgement. The gala includes presentations about innovative approaches to environmental challenges, and I think you would find the educational aspects interesting. Plus, Devin added with the logic that 6-year-olds brought to adult situations, Miss Anna should go to Daddy's work party because she is part of our family now, and families support each other at important things. Lincoln and Anna exchanged glances that acknowledged both the wisdom in Devin's reasoning and the significance of attending their first formal business event together. I would be honored to attend the gala with you, Anna said softly, and Lincoln caught something in her voice that suggested she understood the importance of the invitation beyond simple social networking. It is a formal event, Lincoln continued, wanting to ensure Anna felt prepared for the evening's expectations. Cocktail reception, dinner, awards presentations, and networking opportunities with people from across the renewable energy industry. I assume Howard Sterling will be attending, Anna asked, and Lincoln appreciated her quick understanding of the event's significance in terms of industry relationships. Sterling Industries is typically well represented at the Business Excellence Gala, Lincoln confirmed. It will be interesting to see their latest innovations and hear Howard Sterling's perspectives on industry trends. As they settled around the dinner table that had become the center of their family's daily connection, Lincoln found himself anticipating the gala with excitement that had nothing to do with business networking and everything to do with the prospect of sharing an important professional milestone with Anna. "Miss Anna," Devin said as they began passing dishes and settling into their evening routine, "will you need a really fancy dress for Daddy's work party?" Anna laughed, and the sound filled their dining room with warmth that made even ordinary Tuesday dinners feel like celebrations. "I suppose I will need to find something appropriate for such an elegant event. You always look beautiful," Devin announced with the definitive tone he used for statements of absolute fact. "But maybe you could wear your pretty necklace with the medal thing. That always makes you look extra special." Lincoln glanced at the medallion Anna wore frequently, noting once again its intricate craftsmanship and vintage appeal. "Devin has excellent taste in accessories. That medallion is particularly striking." Anna touched the piece with the gentle reverence she always showed when discussing her treasured antique purchase. "I think this medallion will be perfect for such a special evening. It feels appropriate for occasions when I want to honor both history and new beginnings." As dinner conversation continued around topics ranging from Devin's upcoming science fair project to weekend plans for exploring local museums, Lincoln reflected on how naturally Anna had accepted his invitation to the Business Excellence Gala. She had not just agreed to attend, she had understood the significance of the event and her role as his partner in both personal and professional contexts. The gala would mark their first appearance together at a formal business function, officially acknowledging Anna as an important part of his life to colleagues and competitors alike. Lincoln found himself looking forward to introducing Anna to his professional world, confident that her intelligence, grace, and genuine interest in environmental issues would make her a natural fit for conversations with industry leaders. More significantly, the gala would provide an opportunity to share his professional achievements and challenges with someone who had become essential to his personal happiness. Anna had already demonstrated her interest in his work and her understanding of the values that drove Wells Corporation's mission. Now she would have the chance to see those values recognized by the broader business community. "Anna," Lincoln said, as they concluded dinner and began clearing dishes with the collaborative efficiency that had developed over months of shared domestic life. "Thank you for agreeing to attend the gala with me. It means more than you might realize to have your support at such an important industry event." "Lincoln," Anna replied, meeting his eyes across the kitchen with an expression of warmth and commitment. "I am proud of the work you do and the values you bring to business leadership. I cannot think of anything I would rather do than celebrate those achievements with you." The simple exchange felt like yet another confirmation that Anna Smith had become not just his partner in raising Devin, but his partner in building the kind of life that integrated personal fulfillment with professional purpose. The Business Excellence Gala would be more than a networking event. It would be a celebration of how love and ambition could support, rather than compete with each other. The March evening of the annual Business Excellence Gala arrived with the kind of crisp elegance that made formal events feel like celebrations of possibility rather than obligations of profession. Lincoln stood before his bedroom mirror, adjusting his black tie with hands that trembled slightly from anticipation rather than nervousness. Tonight would mark several significant milestones. Wells Corporation's first nomination for the Innovation in Renewable Energy Award, his first formal business event with Anna as his partner, and their first public appearance as a couple in front of industry colleagues and competitors. Anna emerged from the guest room where she'd been preparing for the evening, and Lincoln felt his breath catch at the sight of her. She wore an elegant navy dress that somehow managed to be sophisticated without being ostentatious, professional without sacrificing femininity. Her auburn hair was swept up in a style that showcased both her natural beauty and the vintage medallion that rested at her throat like a piece of family jewelry passed down through generations. "You look absolutely stunning," Lincoln said, meaning it with a depth that surprised him. "Anna, you are going to be the most beautiful woman at the gala." Anna's cheeks colored slightly, but her smile radiated genuine pleasure at his compliment. "Thank you. I wanted to look worthy of accompanying such a distinguished business leader to such an important event." "Daddy, Miss Anna looks like a princess," Devin announced from the top of the stairs, where he had been observing their preparations with the focused attention of someone who understood he was witnessing something significant. "A really smart princess who knows about science and child psychology." Lincoln and Anna laughed, exchanging glances that acknowledged both the sweetness of Devin's observation and the truth behind it. Anna did possess a regal quality that went beyond physical beauty to encompass intelligence, grace, and natural dignity. "The most important kind of princess," Lincoln agreed, helping Anna with her wrap and marveling at how naturally they had fallen into the small intimacies of partnership. "Are you ready for an evening of renewable energy innovation and ethical business networking?" "I am ready for whatever the evening brings," Anna replied, and Lincoln caught something in her tone that suggested she was referring to more than business presentations and cocktail conversations. The gala venue exceeded even Lincoln's expectations, with crystal chandeliers, fresh flowers, and elegant table settings that transformed the hotel ballroom into a celebration worthy of the industry's most significant achievements. As they moved through the cocktail reception, Lincoln found himself appreciating not just the event's sophistication, but Anna's obvious comfort in formal social settings. She engaged naturally with conversations about environmental policy, asked thoughtful questions about technology innovations, and demonstrated genuine interest in the work that drove everyone's professional passions. Several colleagues commented on her intelligence and insight, noting how fortunate Lincoln was to have such an impressive partner. "Lincoln Wells," a familiar voice called from across the reception area, and Lincoln turned to see Howard Sterling approaching with the confident stride of someone accustomed to commanding attention in professional settings. Howard Sterling possessed the kind of presence that made him instantly recognizable even in crowds of accomplished business leaders. At 62, he carried himself with the dignity of someone who had built an industry empire through decades of ethical decision-making and innovative thinking. His silver hair and sharp blue eyes conveyed both authority and approachability, making him exactly the kind of competitor Lincoln respected even while striving to surpass. "Mr. Sterling," Lincoln replied, extending his hand with genuine pleasure. "It is good to see you again. Congratulations on Sterling Industries' nomination for the Lifetime Achievement Award." "Thank you," Howard replied with the gracious acceptance of someone who had earned recognition through sustained excellence. "And congratulations on Wells Corporation's nomination for innovation. Your software solutions for optimizing renewable energy systems have been impressive additions to the industry." Lincoln felt Anna's attention focus on their conversation, and he realized she was observing Howard Sterling with the careful interest she brought to meeting anyone important in their professional lives. "Howard, I would like you to meet Anna Smith," Lincoln said, placing his hand gently on Anna's back in a gesture that felt both protective and proud. "Anna is my partner in both personal and professional contexts, and she has become quite knowledgeable about renewable energy innovations." Howard Sterling's expression shifted to polite interest as he extended his hand toward Anna. But Lincoln noticed something change in the older man's demeanor as his gaze fell on the medallion at Anna's throat. Sterling's eyes widened slightly, and his handshake with Anna became almost hesitant. "Miss Smith," Howard said, his voice carrying a quality Lincoln had never heard before, almost breathless with surprise. That is a remarkable medallion you are wearing. May I ask where you acquired such a beautiful piece? Anna touched the medallion with the unconscious gesture of someone whose treasured possession had been noticed and appreciated. I found it in an antique shop in Portland several years ago. The craftsmanship was so exquisite that I could not resist purchasing it, even though I knew very little about its history. Howard Sterling's face had gone pale, and Lincoln noticed that the older man's hands were trembling slightly as he continued to stare at Anna's medallion with an intensity that seemed inappropriate for casual conversation. "Miss Smith," Howard continued, his voice now rough with emotion Lincoln could not interpret, "that medallion bears the Sterling family crest. It was commissioned specifically as a gift for my daughter-in-law in 1986. The inscription on the back reads, 'Patricia Sterling, beloved daughter, 1986. The words fell into the elegant reception space like stones dropped into still water, creating ripples of shock and confusion that seemed to affect everyone in their immediate vicinity. Anna's hand flew to her throat, her fingers tracing the medallion's familiar surface with new understanding. "That is impossible," Anna whispered, but Lincoln could see recognition dawning in her green eyes as she processed Howard Sterling's words and their implications. "Miss Smith," Howard continued, stepping closer with an urgency that made his voice carry despite the surrounding cocktail conversations. "My son Michael and his wife Patricia died in a car accident 28 years ago. We believe their infant daughter died with them, but her body was never recovered. The medallion disappeared from the accident scene, and we assumed it had been destroyed." Lincoln felt the world shift around him as he began to understand what Howard Sterling was suggesting. Anna stood frozen, her face pale but her eyes bright with tears that threatened to spill over. "What was your daughter-in-law's maiden name?" Anna asked, her voice barely audible above the reception's background noise. "Patricia Morrison," Howard replied, and Lincoln saw Anna's knees buckle slightly as the final piece of an impossible puzzle fell into place. "My birth name," Anna whispered, "according to the adoption records, was Anastasia Sterling. My parents were Michael and Patricia Sterling, and they died in a car accident when I was 3 months old." The revelation hung in the air between them like a bridge spanning 28 years of separation, grief, and unknowing. Howard Sterling stared at Anna with an expression of wonder and disbelief, while Lincoln struggled to process the magnitude of what he was witnessing. "My granddaughter," Howard breathed, reaching toward Anna with trembling hands. "You are my granddaughter, alive and beautiful, and standing right here in front of me." Anna's tears spilled over as she stepped into Howard Sterling's embrace, and Lincoln watched two people who had been strangers moments earlier discover they were family members who had been mourning each other's presumed deaths for nearly 3 decades. The Business Excellence Gala continued around them, but Lincoln felt as though he and Anna and Howard Sterling existed in a bubble of revelation and reunion that rendered everything else insignificant. Anna Smith, the woman he loved, was Anastasia Sterling, the granddaughter of his primary business competitor and the heir to a renewable energy empire she had never known existed. As he watched Anna and Howard Sterling hold each other with the desperate relief of family members who had found each other against impossible odds, Lincoln realized that their love story had just become infinitely more complicated and infinitely more extraordinary than either of them could have imagined. The private hotel suite that Howard Sterling had secured for their impromptu family reunion felt surreal in its elegance and intimacy. Lincoln sat beside Anna on an antique sofa, watching her examine family photographs that Howard had retrieved from his briefcase with the careful attention of someone trying to piece together a lifetime of missing information. "This is your mother," Howard said gently, pointing to a photograph of a young woman with Anna's green eyes and delicate features. Patricia was studying child psychology when she met your father. She would have been so proud to know that you pursued a similar field. Anna's fingers trembled as she traced her mother's face in the photograph, tears flowing freely down her cheeks. She looked so young and happy. They both do. Lincoln studied the photographs over Anna's shoulder, noting the strong resemblance between Anna and both her parents, but especially the way she had inherited her mother's gentle intelligence and her father's confident smile. The images revealed a young couple deeply in love and excited about their future together. Your father had just graduated from Stanford with his MBA, Howard continued, settling into the chair across from them with movements that suggested he was still processing the miracle of Anna's presence. He was planning to join Sterling Industries and eventually take over the company's operations. He and Patricia were discussing names for their daughter, and they had decided on Anastasia because it meant resurrection or new life. They chose well, Anna said softly, her voice thick with emotion. In a way, discovering this information feels like resurrection of a part of myself I never knew existed. Lincoln reached for Anna's hand, offering what comfort he could while his own mind struggled to process the evening's revelations. The woman he had fallen in love with was not just Anna Smith, dedicated, professional and loving partner. She was Anastasia Sterling, heir to a renewable energy empire and granddaughter to his primary business competitor. "Anna," Lincoln said carefully, "are you all right? This must be overwhelming to process." Anna looked at him with eyes still bright with tears, but also shining with something that might have been wonder. "I feel like I'm dreaming, but also like I'm waking up from a dream I did not know I was having. All my life, I have wondered about my biological family, about where I came from and whether anyone missed me." "We missed you every day," Howard said, his voice breaking with 28 years of accumulated grief and sudden, overwhelming joy. "Your grandmother and I never stopped hoping that somehow you had survived the accident, but as years passed, we began to accept that you were gone forever." "How did I survive when my parents did not?" Anna asked, clearly struggling with survivor's guilt alongside her amazement at discovering living family. Howard's expression grew gentle as he prepared to share what he knew about the tragic events that had separated them. "The accident happened during a winter storm. Your parents' car skidded off a mountain highway and was not discovered for several hours. When rescue teams arrived, they found you in your car seat, protected by your mother's body and somehow uninjured despite the cold and trauma." Lincoln felt Anna's hand tighten in his as she absorbed this information about her parents' final act of protection and sacrifice. "The hospital records from that time are incomplete," Howard continued, "but we believe there was confusion about your identity because your parents' identification was damaged in the accident. You were placed in emergency foster care while authorities tried to locate family members, but somehow our searches and their efforts never connected. The adoption agency told my parents that I had been abandoned as an infant," Anna said quietly. "They never mentioned an accident or deceased parents or family members searching for me. Communication systems were different 28 years ago," Howard acknowledged. "Interstate coordination between agencies was less sophisticated, and it appears that bureaucratic failures prevented us from finding each other until now." Lincoln listened to this exchange while studying Howard Sterling's face, recognizing genuine love and relief in the older man's expression. Despite being Anna's newfound grandfather and Lincoln's business competitor, Howard Sterling was demonstrating the same ethical character and emotional intelligence that had made him a respected industry leader. "Mr. Sterling," Lincoln said carefully, "I want you to know that Anna has been raised by wonderful people who loved her completely. Robert and Helen Smith gave her every opportunity and showed her what family devotion looked like. I am grateful beyond words to the family who cared for my granddaughter, Howard replied sincerely. They clearly raised her to be an exceptional woman of intelligence, grace, and compassion. Anna looked between Lincoln and Howard with an expression that acknowledged the complexity of the situation they now faced. This changes everything and nothing simultaneously. I'm still the same person who fell in love with Lincoln and Devin, but now I also belong to a family legacy I never knew existed. Anna, Howard said gently, I want you to know that discovering you are alive is the greatest gift I could ever receive. But I also want you to know that I have no expectations about what this revelation means for your life. You have built a beautiful family with Lincoln and Devin, and I would never want to complicate that happiness. Lincoln felt a surge of respect for Howard Sterling's immediate recognition of Anna's established life and relationships. The older man was handling this miraculous discovery with the same wisdom and consideration he brought to business leadership. Actually, Anna said, looking at Lincoln with an expression that seemed to seek his support for whatever she was about to suggest, I think this discovery creates opportunities rather than complications. Lincoln, you and Grandfather Howard share the same values and commitment to renewable energy innovation. Perhaps there are ways this family connection could benefit both companies and the broader industry. Lincoln stared at Anna with amazement as he processed her suggestion. Even in the midst of the most emotionally overwhelming evening of her life, she was thinking about how personal relationships could serve professional purposes and community benefit. Anna, he said softly, are you suggesting that Wells Corporation and Sterling Industries might find ways to collaborate rather than just compete? I am suggesting, Anna replied with growing confidence, that two companies with shared values and complementary strengths, now connected by family bonds, might accomplish more together than they ever could separately. As Lincoln and Howard Sterling looked at each other across the hotel suite, both recognizing the wisdom in Anna's words and the unprecedented opportunity her presence had created, Lincoln realized that the evening's revelations had transformed not just Anna's understanding of her identity, but the entire landscape of their personal and professional futures. The Business Excellence Gala had become the setting for a family reunion that would change everything, guided by a woman whose love had already transformed Lincoln's life and whose wisdom might now transform an entire industry's approach to collaboration and innovation. The morning after the Business Excellence Gala brought the kind of soft April sunshine that made extraordinary revelations feel like natural progressions rather than impossible miracles. Anna sat at Lincoln's kitchen island, surrounded by photo albums and family documents that Howard Sterling had brought to help her understand the legacy she had inherited, while Lincoln prepared coffee with the careful attention of someone trying to create normalcy amid life-changing circumstances. Devin approached the kitchen with the cautious curiosity of a 6-year-old who sensed that important adult conversations were happening, but was not entirely sure of his role in the proceedings. Miss Anna, he said carefully, settling onto the bar stool beside her, Daddy said you found out you have a grandfather who owns a big company like his company. Does that make you a business person too? Anna smiled, reaching over to smooth Devin's hair with the unconscious gesture of maternal affection that had become second nature over the past months. It means I belong to a family that has worked in renewable energy for many years, but it does not change who I am or how much I love being part of our family. Lincoln set coffee mugs in front of Anna and settled across from them, noting how naturally she had reassured Devin while processing her own complex emotions about discovering her Sterling heritage. Actually, Anna continued, opening one of the photo albums to reveal images of Sterling Industries' early projects. Learning about my grandfather's company helps me understand why I've always been interested in environmental issues and sustainable solutions. It seems those values were part of my family legacy even when I did not know it. The photographs revealed decades of Sterling Industries development from a small renewable energy startup to a major corporation with projects spanning multiple continents. Howard Sterling appeared in many images, often standing beside innovative technology installations or shaking hands with government officials at environmental policy conferences. "Your grandfather built something remarkable," Lincoln observed, studying images of solar installations and wind farms that represented Sterling Industries' commitment to clean energy solutions. His work has had genuine impact on environmental sustainability and energy independence. "The more I learn about Sterling Industries," Anna replied thoughtfully, "the more I realize how similar your values and approaches are to my grandfather's. Both companies prioritize innovation, environmental responsibility, and ethical business practices." Devin looked between the adults with the focused attention he brought to conversations that might affect his world. "If Miss Anna's grandfather has a company like yours, Daddy, does that mean you are not competitors anymore?" The question hung in the kitchen air with the innocence of childhood logic and the complexity of adult business relationships. Lincoln and Anna exchanged glances that acknowledged both the simplicity and the significance of Devin's reasoning. "Competition can exist alongside cooperation," Lincoln said carefully. "Your Miss Anna's grandfather and I want both our companies to succeed, but we also share goals that might be accomplished more effectively through collaboration." Anna nodded, turning pages in the photo album to reveal images of Sterling Industries' charitable initiatives and community development projects. "Look at this, Lincoln. My grandfather's company has funded educational programs, environmental research, and renewable energy installations in underserved communities. Those are exactly the kinds of initiatives that Wells Corporation values." Lincoln studied the photographs Anna indicated, noting Sterling Industries' long history of combining profitable business operations with meaningful social impact. The projects represented the kind of legacy he hoped to build through his own company's work. "Indeed," he said slowly, an idea beginning to form in his mind. "What if the discovery of your family connection creates opportunities for our companies to address environmental challenges more effectively together than either could separately?" Anna's eyes brightened with the kind of intellectual excitement she brought to solving complex problems. "What kind of collaboration are you envisioning?" "I am not sure yet," Lincoln admitted, "but Sterling Industries has established infrastructure and long-term client relationships, while Wells Corporation offers cutting-edge technology and innovative approaches. There might be ways to combine those strengths for greater impact. Plus," Devin added, with the wisdom that children sometimes possessed without trying, "if you are going to be family with Miss Anna, and Miss Anna is family with her grandfather, then maybe all the companies can be like family too." Anna laughed, and the sound filled their kitchen with warmth that made even complex business discussions feel like natural extensions of family life. "Devin, you have an excellent understanding of how relationships can create new possibilities." As the morning progressed and Anna continued exploring her family history through photographs and documents, Lincoln found himself thinking about the unprecedented opportunity that her discovery had created. Anna was not just his partner and Devin's beloved caregiver. She was also the bridge between two companies that had been competing when they might have been collaborating. "Anna," he said, as they prepared to leave for a planned visit to Sterling Industries headquarters, where Anna would see her family's business operations firsthand. "How do you feel about learning that you are heir to a renewable energy empire?" Anna considered the question carefully, her expression thoughtful as she processed the magnitude of her changed circumstances. "I feel grateful for the opportunity to understand my parents' legacy and my grandfather's work. But I also feel clear that my identity and my choices are not determined by inheritance. I want to honor my family's values while continuing to build the life I have chosen with you and Devin." Lincoln felt something warm and reassuring settle in his chest as he recognized Anna's wisdom in balancing family legacy with personal autonomy. She had not been overwhelmed by discovering her inheritance. Instead, she was thoughtfully considering how to integrate new knowledge with established relationships and commitments. "That is exactly the approach I hoped you would take," Lincoln said, meaning it completely. "Your grandfather's legacy is part of your story now, but it does not have to define your future unless you choose to let it." "Actually," Anna said, closing the photo albums and gathering the documents with the careful attention she brought to important decisions, "I think discovering my family heritage clarifies rather than complicates my future. Understanding where I come from helps me see more clearly where I want to go." As they prepared to leave for Anna's first visit to Sterling Industries as Howard Sterling's granddaughter, Lincoln reflected on how naturally Anna was processing life-changing revelations while maintaining focus on their family's well-being and their relationship's development. The discovery of Anna's identity had not created distance between them. Instead, it had provided additional confirmation that they shared values and commitments that went beyond personal attraction to encompass professional purpose and social responsibility. "Daddy," Devin said as they gathered coats and prepared for their expedition to Sterling Industries, "I think today is going to be another day when our family gets bigger and better." Lincoln and Anna exchanged smiles that acknowledged the truth in Devin's observation. Their family had been growing and improving since Anna's arrival, and the discovery of her sterling heritage promised to expand their sense of connection and possibility in ways they were only beginning to understand. "I think you are absolutely right, buddy," Lincoln replied, helping Devin with his jacket while appreciating how effortlessly his son had accepted and embraced the changes in their family structure. "Today feels like another step toward understanding what family means when it is built through love and shared values." Sterling Industries headquarters occupied an impressive glass and steel building that managed to convey both corporate success and environmental consciousness through its innovative design and sustainable technology integration. As Lincoln drove through the campus, Anna pressed her face to the passenger window with the wonder of someone seeing her family's legacy for the first time. The buildings incorporate passive solar heating, rainwater collection systems, and wind-powered generators, Anna observed, noting details that revealed her growing understanding of renewable energy applications. "My grandfather designed this facility to demonstrate the technologies Sterling Industries promotes." Lincoln parked near the main entrance, appreciating both the campus's architectural beauty and its practical demonstration of environmental principles. "Your grandfather clearly believes in practicing what Sterling Industries preaches about sustainable business operations." Devin unbuckled his seatbelt with the excitement of someone anticipating an educational adventure. "Are we going to see the inside of Miss Anna's grandfather's company? Will there be interesting machines and computers like at your office, Daddy?" "I suspect Sterling Industries has many fascinating technologies to explore," Lincoln replied, helping Devin from the car while noting Anna's mixture of nervousness and anticipation as they approached the building where her father had once planned to work. Howard Sterling met them in the elegant lobby, his face brightening with joy that seemed to increase each time he saw Anna. "Good morning, my dear granddaughter. Welcome to Sterling Industries. I have been looking forward to showing you the company your father was so excited to join." Anna embraced Howard with the growing comfort of someone learning to accept grandparental affection after decades of wondering about biological family connections. "Good morning, Grandfather Howard. I've been studying the materials you gave me, and I'm amazed by everything Sterling Industries has accomplished." As Howard led them through state-of-the-art research laboratories, manufacturing facilities, and administrative offices, Lincoln found himself impressed by the company's scope and sophistication. Sterling Industries employed hundreds of people in work that ranged from theoretical research to practical installation of renewable energy systems worldwide. "This is our innovation center," Howard explained, guiding them into a spacious laboratory where engineers worked on prototypes of next-generation solar panels and wind turbine components. "We develop new technologies here before testing them in real-world applications." Anna moved through the laboratory with natural curiosity, asking thoughtful questions about research methodologies and development timelines that demonstrated her quickly expanding knowledge of renewable energy technologies. "Grandfather Howard," she said, pausing beside a display of solar panel efficiency comparisons, "I notice that Sterling Industries focuses on large-scale installations, while Lincoln's company specializes in software optimization. Those seem like complementary rather than competing approaches." Lincoln caught the meaningful glance Anna directed toward him, recognizing her continued exploration of collaborative possibilities between their companies. "That is a very perceptive observation," Howard replied, looking between Anna and Lincoln with growing interest. "Sterling Industries has always focused on hardware development and infrastructure projects, while Wells Corporation has developed expertise in the software systems that maximize hardware efficiency. What if," Anna continued carefully, "instead of competing for the same contracts, our companies explored ways to combine hardware excellence with software innovation for solutions that neither could achieve independently?" Lincoln felt his pulse quicken as Anna articulated the collaboration possibilities he had been considering since learning of her family connection. "Anna, are you suggesting that Sterling Industries and Wells Corporation might find ways to work together rather than against each other?" "I am suggesting," Anna replied with growing confidence, "that two companies with shared values and complementary expertise, now connected by family bonds, have the opportunity to create something unprecedented in renewable energy development." Howard Sterling studied Anna with an expression that combined admiration for her intelligence with amazement at her instinctive understanding of business strategy. "Anastasia, in less than 24 hours since discovering your heritage, you have identified collaborative opportunities that decades of traditional competition never produced." As they continued touring Sterling Industries facilities, Anna's suggestions about potential collaboration evolved from abstract concepts to specific proposals. She envisioned joint research projects, integrated technology solutions, and shared educational initiatives that could advance renewable energy adoption more effectively than either company could accomplish alone. "Lincoln," Howard said as they concluded their tour in his executive office, "your partner possesses remarkable business instincts alongside her expertise in child development. She sees possibilities that industry veterans often miss." Lincoln watched Anna examine family photographs and industry awards displayed throughout Howard's office, noting how naturally she seemed to belong in the environment her father had been destined to inherit. "Anna has always possessed exceptional analytical abilities," Lincoln agreed. "She approaches every situation with thoughtfulness and creativity that lead to innovative solutions." "Actually," Anna said, turning from her examination of a photograph showing Howard Sterling receiving an Environmental Leadership Award, "I have been thinking about something more ambitious than collaboration between existing companies." Both Lincoln and Howard focused their attention entirely on Anna, recognizing that she was preparing to propose something significant. "What if," Anna continued, settling into a chair across from Howard's desk with the confidence of someone who had thoroughly considered her suggestion, We created something entirely new that combined Sterling Industries' established infrastructure with Wells Corporation's innovative technology, specifically designed to address educational and community development needs. Lincoln felt excitement building as he began to understand the scope of Anna's vision. "Are you proposing a joint venture focused on education and community service?" "I am proposing a foundation," Anna replied, her voice gaining strength as she articulated her ideas. "The Wells Sterling Foundation for Children's Excellence, dedicated to providing educational opportunities, environmental awareness programs, and renewable energy access to underserved communities." The proposal settled into Howard Sterling's office with the weight of possibility and the promise of meaningful impact. Lincoln found himself studying Anna with amazement as she outlined a vision that combined business innovation with social responsibility in ways that honored both family legacies. "Anna," Howard said softly, "that is exactly the kind of legacy your parents would have wanted to create through their work at Sterling Industries. And exactly the kind of impact I have always hoped Wells Corporation could achieve," Lincoln added, recognizing that Anna had identified the perfect integration of personal relationships with professional purpose. As Anna continued developing her foundation proposal with the enthusiasm she brought to projects that mattered deeply to her, Lincoln realized that discovering her family heritage had not complicated their relationship, but had instead provided the missing piece that could transform their personal love into lasting social contribution. The Wells Sterling Foundation would be more than a business collaboration. It would be the practical expression of values and commitments that connected 3 generations of people who believed that success should serve others, especially children who deserved every opportunity to develop their potential. "Grandfather Howard, Lincoln," Anna said, looking between the 2 men whose business rivalry was evolving into family partnership, "I think we have the opportunity to create something that honors the past while building the future. Are you interested in exploring this foundation concept together?" The question hung in the air, with the promise of transformation that extended far beyond business arrangements to encompass the kind of family legacy that could benefit generations of children while demonstrating that love could indeed change the world. The May evening brought warmth that made outdoor celebrations feel like natural expressions of joy and new beginnings. Lincoln stood on the patio of his home, watching Anna and Devin work together to hang lights for what had become an impromptu gathering to celebrate Anna's official acceptance of her Sterling heritage and the preliminary plans for the Wells Sterling Foundation. Over the past month, Anna had divided her time between learning about Sterling Industries operations, developing her master's thesis on therapeutic child development, and working with both Lincoln and Howard to transform her foundation concept into detailed business proposals. The integration of her professional expertise with her family legacy had created opportunities that none of them had anticipated. "Daddy," Devin called from where he was helping Anna arrange chairs around a table that had been set for dinner. "Miss Anna says that tonight we are celebrating family and new adventures. What kind of new adventures are we going to have?" Lincoln smiled, appreciating his son's excitement about changes that he clearly understood would affect their family life in positive ways. "We are going to have the kind of adventures that happen when people who care about each other work together to help other children have better opportunities." Anna glanced up from her table arrangements with the radiant smile that never failed to make Lincoln feel like his day was complete. "Devin, remember how we talked about how some children do not have access to good schools or educational resources? The foundation your father and grandfather and I are creating will help change that." Howard Sterling arrived precisely at 6 o'clock, carrying flowers for Anna and a gift bag that appeared to contain something specially selected for Devin. His transformation from business competitor to beloved grandfather figure had been one of the most remarkable aspects of the past month's developments. "Good evening, my dear family," Howard said, embracing Anna with the natural affection of someone making up for decades of missed grandparental moments. "I bring news about the Foundation's legal incorporation and some exciting developments from Sterling Industries' Board of Directors." Lincoln helped Howard with packages, while noting how naturally the older man had begun referring to their gatherings as family events. The business rivalry that had once defined their professional relationship had evolved into collaborative partnership built on shared values and mutual respect. "What kind of news, Grandfather Howard?" Anna asked, accepting the flowers with the pleasure of someone who had learned to embrace being cherished by biological family. "The Sterling Industries Board unanimously approved our proposal for the Wells Sterling Foundation," Howard announced, his voice carrying the satisfaction of someone whose professional colleagues had endorsed his personal priorities. "They were particularly impressed by your integration of educational programming with environmental awareness and renewable energy access." Lincoln felt warmth spread through his chest as he processed the significance of Howard's announcement. Sterling Industries' board approval meant that Anna's foundation concept had passed the scrutiny of experienced business leaders who understood both market viability and social impact potential. "And," Howard continued, settling into a patio chair with the comfortable ease of someone who had become integral to their family gatherings, "Wells Corporation's board meeting is scheduled for next week to consider matching Sterling Industries' initial foundation investment." Anna's eyes brightened with the kind of excitement she brought to projects that aligned perfectly with her values and expertise. "Lincoln, do you think Wells Corporation's board will support the foundation concept?" "I think they will be as impressed by your vision and planning as Sterling Industries' board was," Lincoln replied, meaning it completely. "Anna, you have created something that demonstrates how business success can serve community development and educational excellence." Devin climbed into the chair beside Howard with the comfortable familiarity that had developed between them over the past month. "Grandfather Howard, will the foundation help children who love dinosaurs and science like me?" Howard laughed, ruffling Devin's hair with obvious delight in his honorary great-grandson's interests. "The foundation will especially help children who love learning about everything, including dinosaurs and science and renewable energy and whatever else captures their curiosity." As they settled around the dinner table that Anna had transformed with flowers and candles into something worthy of celebration, Lincoln reflected on how naturally their family had expanded to include Howard Sterling, and how seamlessly personal relationships had evolved to encompass professional collaboration. "Actually," Lincoln said, making a decision that felt both inevitable and perfect, "I have some news of my own to share tonight." Anna's attention focused immediately on Lincoln, and he caught something in her expression that suggested she might be anticipating what he was preparing to announce. "Anna," Lincoln continued, reaching across the table to take her hand in a gesture that had become natural and necessary over the months they had been building their relationship. "These past months have shown me that love grows stronger when it serves purposes larger than itself." Anna's smile began slowly, but grew until it seemed to illuminate the entire patio. "Lincoln, what are you trying to tell me?" "I am trying to tell you," Lincoln replied, standing and moving to kneel beside Anna's chair in a gesture that made Devin gasp with excitement and Howard Sterling beam with approval, "that I want our personal partnership to be as official and permanent as our professional collaboration." Lincoln reached into his jacket pocket and withdrew a ring box that he had been carrying for weeks while waiting for the perfect moment to transform hope into commitment. "Anastasia Sterling Smith Will you marry me and help me build the kind of family legacy that honors both love and service?" Anna's tears spilled over as she nodded enthusiastically, extending her hand so Lincoln could place the engagement ring that symbolized not just personal commitment but shared purpose and integrated dreams. "Yes," she whispered, then said more clearly, "Yes, Lincoln Wells. I will marry you and help you build the kind of legacy that makes love productive and service meaningful." Devin jumped from his chair with unbridled excitement, throwing his arms around both Lincoln and Anna in a group hug that represented everything their family had become through daily choices to care for each other. "Does this mean Miss Anna is going to be my real mom now?" Devin asked with the joy of someone whose deepest wishes were being granted. "This means Anna is going to be your real mom in every way that matters," Lincoln replied, "and you are going to help us create a family that serves other children while celebrating everything that makes you special." Howard Sterling wiped tears from his eyes as he watched his granddaughter accept the proposal that would officially unite two families and two companies in service to values they all shared. "My dear children," Howard said, raising his glass in a toast that encompassed both celebration and blessing, "may your marriage create the kind of love that transforms communities, and may your foundation create the kind of legacy that honors all the family members who would be proud to see how their values live on through your work." And as evening settled around their patio celebration, and Anna examined her engagement ring while Devin planned their wedding, and Howard shared stories about Sterling family traditions, Lincoln realized that their love story had become something larger than personal happiness. It had become the foundation for meaningful work that would benefit generations of children while demonstrating that business success and family love could serve each other beautifully. The Wells-Sterling Foundation would be their professional legacy, but their marriage would be the personal commitment that made everything else possible. The June morning of Lincoln and Anna's wedding arrived with the kind of golden sunshine that made promises feel like natural expressions of hope and commitment. The ceremony would take place in the gardens of the Wells-Sterling Foundation headquarters, a building that had been completed just in time to serve as the backdrop for the marriage that had made the foundation's creation possible. Anna stood before the mirror in the foundation's executive suite, adjusting the vintage medallion that had led to the discovery of her family heritage and the love story that had transformed 3 lives into something larger than any of them had imagined individually. "You look absolutely radiant," said Margaret Wells, Lincoln's mother, who had flown in from Boston to serve as matron of honor and had immediately embraced Anna as the daughter-in-law she had been hoping Lincoln would find. "That medallion is the perfect finishing touch for such a meaningful day." Anna touched the medallion with gentle reverence, thinking about the miraculous chain of events that had led from a college antique shop purchase to a wedding celebration that would unite 2 families and launch a foundation dedicated to children's educational excellence. "This medallion represents so much more than family history now," Anna replied thoughtfully. "It represents the way seemingly random events can create exactly the connections we need, even when we do not realize we are searching for them." Margaret smiled, helping Anna with the final details of her wedding preparation while appreciating both her elegance and her wisdom. "Lincoln tells me that you suggested the foundation concept that brought your families together in service to others. That speaks to the kind of character that creates lasting marriages and meaningful legacies." Meanwhile, in the Foundation's conference room, Lincoln stood with Howard Sterling and his own father, adjusting his tie while processing the magnitude of the day that would officially make Anna his wife and Howard his grandfather-in-law. "Son," said Robert Wells, Lincoln's father, "I have never seen you as happy as you have been since Anna became part of your life. She has brought out the best in both you and Devin." Howard Sterling nodded, straightening Lincoln's boutonniere with the careful attention of someone who had become genuinely fond of his granddaughter's chosen partner. Lincoln, Anna chose well when she chose you. You honor her intelligence while supporting her dreams, and you have created the kind of family environment that allows everyone to flourish. Devin appeared in the doorway wearing his first formal suit and carrying the ring pillow with the gravity of someone who understood the importance of his role in the ceremony. "Daddy, are you ready to marry Miss Anna and make our family official?" Lincoln knelt to embrace his son, overwhelmed by gratitude for the journey that had brought them to this moment. "I am more than ready, buddy. Are you ready to have Anna as your official mum?" "I have been ready since the day she helped me understand that velociraptors had feathers," Devin replied, with the definitive tone he used for statements of absolute certainty. The ceremony began at precisely 11 o'clock, with guests gathered in the Foundation's gardens among flowers that Anna had chosen specifically for their symbolism of growth, renewal, and lasting beauty. The wedding party included family members, close friends, and business colleagues who had witnessed the love story that had transformed competition into collaboration. Inna walked down the garden path on Howard Sterling's arm, her face radiant with joy and her step confident with the certainty of someone who had found both personal happiness and professional purpose. Lincoln watched her approach with amazement that never diminished, still unable to believe his extraordinary fortune in finding a partner who completed his family while enhancing his ability to serve others. "Dearly beloved," began the minister, who had agreed to perform the ceremony in the gardens, where Anna and Lincoln planned to launch educational programs that would serve hundreds of children. "We gather today to celebrate the union of two people whose love has created opportunities for service that extends far beyond their personal happiness." The ceremony included traditional elements of commitment and blessing, but also incorporated unique touches that reflected Anna and Lincoln's shared values and integrated dreams. They exchanged vows they had written themselves, promising not only personal devotion, but mutual support for work that would benefit children and communities. "Lincoln," Anna said, her voice clear and strong as she faced her future husband in the gardens of their shared professional vision. "I promise to love you with the kind of devotion that makes us both better people. I promise to help you raise Devin with wisdom and joy. And I promise to work beside you in creating opportunities for other children to develop their gifts and pursue their dreams." "Anna," Lincoln replied, holding her hands while speaking words that felt both intimate and universal. "I promise to cherish you as partner and friend and beloved wife. I promise to support your dreams while sharing your commitment to service. And I promise to build with you the kind of family and foundation that honors love by sharing its benefits with others." When the minister pronounced them husband and wife, Lincoln and Anna's kiss was witnessed by family members who had been separated by decades and reunited by miraculous coincidence, by colleagues who had watched competition transform into collaboration, and by friends who understood that true love always found ways to serve purposes larger than itself. "Ladies and gentlemen," the minister announced with obvious pleasure in the occasion, "I present to you Mr. and Mrs. Lincoln Wells, founders of the Wells Sterling Foundation and creators of a family legacy built on love, service, and commitment to children's excellence." The reception that followed took place in the Foundation's community room, where displays about upcoming educational programs provided context for the celebration. Ina and Lincoln's first dance was accompanied by music that Devin had helped select, and their wedding cake was decorated with solar panels and dinosaurs in honor of the interests that had brought their family together. "Ina," Howard Sterling said during the reception toasts, his voice thick with emotion as he addressed his granddaughter and her new husband, Your parents would be so proud to see how their daughter has created the kind of love and legacy they dreamed of building together. Lincoln, thank you for loving my granddaughter and helping her discover that family can be both inherited and chosen. As the celebration continued and guests mingled throughout the foundation headquarters that represented the practical expression of Anna and Lincoln's shared values, Devin made his own impromptu speech that brought tears to everyone's eyes. "I want to thank Miss Anna for becoming my real mom," he announced, with the seriousness of someone delivering important information. "And I want to thank Daddy for choosing someone who understands that families take care of each other and help other children too. And I want to thank Grandfather Howard for being Miss Anna's grandfather so our family could get even bigger and better." As the afternoon progressed and wedding guests explored the foundation facilities while celebrating the marriage that had made the foundation's creation possible, Anna and Lincoln found quiet moments to appreciate the magnitude of what they had accomplished together. "Mrs. Wells," Lincoln said, using Anna's new name with obvious pleasure, "how does it feel to be officially part of the Wells family, while officially launching the foundation that will serve hundreds of children?" "It feels like everything I never knew I was hoping for," Anna replied, settling into Lincoln's arms as they watched Devin give guided tours of the Foundation's Educational Resource Center to relatives and family friends. Personal happiness and professional purpose and family legacy all integrated into something larger than any of us could have created alone. As the sun set over their wedding celebration and the foundation headquarters that would serve as the practical expression of their love's commitment to service, Anna and Lincoln knew they had created something extraordinary. Their marriage represented not just personal commitment, but public dedication to the belief that love grew stronger when it served others, especially children who deserved every opportunity to develop their potential and pursue their dreams. The Wells Sterling Foundation would be their professional legacy, their marriage would be their personal foundation, and their commitment to children's excellence would be the practical expression of values that connected 3 generations of family members who believed that success should always serve purposes larger than itself. 1 year later, the Wells Sterling Foundation's first annual report celebration brought together donors, educators, community leaders, and the families whose children had benefited from programs that integrated educational excellence with environmental awareness and renewable energy access. Anna stood at the podium in the Foundation's expanded community center, wearing the vintage medallion that had sparked the chain of discoveries leading to this moment, addressing an audience that included not only Foundation supporters, but also business leaders who had begun implementing similar collaborative approaches to corporate social responsibility. "When I purchased this medallion in a Portland antique shop during my college years," Anna began, touching the piece that had revealed her family heritage and changed everything about her understanding of identity and purpose. "I could never have imagined that it would lead to discovering my grandfather, meeting my husband, and creating a foundation that has now served over 500 children in our first year of operation." The applause that followed reflected genuine appreciation for both Anna's personal journey and the Foundation's measurable impact on educational opportunities and environmental awareness in underserved communities. Lincoln watched from the front row, holding Devin on his lap while marveling at his wife's transformation from professional caregiver to foundation director to respected advocate for children's educational excellence. Anna had discovered not only her family heritage, but also her calling to leadership that served others. The Wells Sterling Foundation's success demonstrates what becomes possible when personal relationships serve professional purposes and when business collaboration serves community development, Anna continued, her voice carrying the confidence of someone who had learned to articulate vision in ways that inspired action. Our educational programs have helped children discover interests in science, technology, environmental stewardship, and renewable energy solutions, while our community partnerships have brought sustainable power access to neighborhoods that had been underserved by traditional utility systems. Howard Sterling beamed with pride from his seat beside Lincoln and Devin, clearly amazed by his granddaughter's ability to combine sterling family business acumen with compassionate service to children's development. At 63, he had found renewed purpose in supporting Anna's leadership while gradually transitioning Sterling Industries operations to incorporate foundation partnerships. This year, we launched literacy programs that serve 200 children weekly, science enrichment classes that have inspired 30 young people to pursue advanced studies in renewable energy technology, and community garden projects that teach environmental stewardship while providing fresh food access to 400 families. Anna reported, her statistics representing real children whose opportunities had expanded through foundation support. The audience included several of those children and their families, creating a connection between foundation programming and community impact that made abstract philanthropy feel personal and meaningful. Devin raised his hand from his seat on Lincoln's lap, clearly unable to contain his excitement about contributing to his mother's presentation. Anna smiled, recognizing her son's eagerness to participate in important family business. "Yes, Devin?" Anna said, acknowledging him with the warmth she brought to all their interactions. "I want everyone to know that our foundation helps kids who love dinosaurs and solar energy and reading and building things," Devin announced, with the authority of someone who had personally benefited from foundation programming, and that having a foundation family means we get to help lots of kids have fun while learning important things. The laughter and applause that followed Devin's impromptu testimonial reflected the audience's appreciation for his innocent articulation of the Foundation's mission and methods. "Devin is absolutely right," Anna agreed, "and he has been one of our most effective advocates for programming that makes learning engaging and accessible. Children learn best when education feels like adventure rather than obligation." As Anna concluded her presentation with recognition of donors, volunteers, and community partners who had made the Foundation's first-year achievements possible, Lincoln reflected on the transformation that had occurred in all their lives since Anna's arrival as Devin's caregiver. Anna had not only become his wife and Devin's mother, but had also become a community leader whose vision had created opportunities for hundreds of children while demonstrating how personal love could serve public good. "Before we conclude tonight's celebration," Anna announced, "I want to share some exciting news about the Foundation's expansion plans for the coming year." The audience focused their attention expectantly, clearly interested in learning about future programming and community partnerships. Thanks to the success of our first-year operations and the generous support of Sterling Industries and Wells Corporation, the Wells Sterling Foundation will be opening satellite locations in 3 additional communities, expanding our educational programming to serve over 1,000 children, and launching a scholarship program that will provide college funding for foundation participants who pursue studies in renewable energy technology and environmental sustainability. The applause that greeted Anna's announcement reflected genuine excitement about expanded opportunities for children's educational and professional development. Lincoln stood to join Anna at the podium, bringing Devin with him as they acknowledged the community support that had made the Foundation's success possible. "Anna, Howard, and I want to thank everyone who has contributed to making the Wells Sterling Foundation a model for how business collaboration can serve community development," Lincoln said, his arm around Anna's waist as they faced an audience of people who had become partners in their mission. When we began this foundation, we hoped to serve children's educational needs. What we discovered is that serving others has enriched our own family's sense of purpose and connection. Howard Sterling joined them on the stage, creating a three-generation representation of the family bonds that had made the foundation's creation possible. My granddaughter taught me that discovering family means more than learning about biological connections, Howard said, his voice carrying the emotional weight of someone whose life had been transformed by unexpected joy. Family means choosing to serve each other and to serve others, especially children who deserve every opportunity to develop their gifts and pursue their dreams. As the evening concluded, and foundation supporters mingled throughout facilities that had expanded to include computer laboratories, science exploration centers, and community meeting spaces. Anna and Lincoln reflected on how completely their personal love story had become integrated with their professional mission. "Lincoln," Anna said as they walked through the foundation's gardens, where their wedding had taken place exactly 1 year earlier. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if I had chosen a different medallion in that Portland antique shop?" Lincoln stopped walking, taking Anna into his arms among the flowers that had witnessed their wedding vows and their commitment to serving others. "I think somehow we would have found each other anyway. Love that is meant to serve others has a way of creating the connections it needs." "I think you are right," Anna replied, settling into Lincoln's embrace while watching Devin play with children whose families had become part of their extended foundation community. Sometimes the most important discoveries disguise themselves as coincidences until we are ready to understand their true significance. As the sun set over the Wells Sterling Foundation headquarters and the family that had been created through love, service, and commitment to children's excellence, Anna and Lincoln knew they had built something that would continue growing and serving long after their own story had become part of the foundation's history. Their love had created a family, their family had created a foundation, and their foundation was creating opportunities for hundreds of children to discover their potential and pursue their dreams. The medallion that had revealed Anna's heritage had also revealed the truth that love grows strongest when it serves purposes larger than itself, especially when those purposes involve nurturing the next generation's hopes and possibilities. The Wells Sterling Foundation would continue expanding, the Wells family would continue growing, and the legacy of love transformed into service would continue inspiring others to discover that the most meaningful success comes from helping others achieve their own dreams and aspirations. I hope you enjoyed today's story. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more stories like this. Leave a like and comment below what you thought of the story. See you in the next video.